Officially live.
Officially. Officially.
Beatbox to save my life.
Apparently, I have to. We have to cancel the stream because Ray and I are going on a journey to find a specific cat.
Okay.
I'm gonna put the link to this cat GIF in
GIF?
the Twitch chat there, so everyone can enjoy.
Well, that is one majestic cat. Let's be honest.
Right?
That is a.
That cat is otherworldly. Like, oh my god.
That cat is supremely majestic.
Like, Ray just sent me that. He's like, I'm sorry to interrupt the planning, but you gotta see this cat. You're right. I had to see that cat. So we're gonna make it our life's goal to go find that cat, apparently.
Fair enough. That's a good life goal.
Yeah.
Just give some shout outs to some people in chat. We've got Not Zesty Salsa. He's the early bird. He is there, and he was first in chat. Sashimi, Wilbur. Hey Wilbur, good to see you, dude. Starston. Yeah, lots of the regulars here, nice and early. Ready to watch.
Just how we like it.
I've just and Not Zesty Salsa just subscribed with Twitch Prime for 3 months. Thank you very much, dude. We genuinely appreciate that. Finally, purple again. He says yes.
Purple.
The purple chat.
Purple.
Why do people ping me as soon as we go live? As soon as we go live, I start to get PMs and DMs. And
it happens every time. Every time.
Just looking at the news doc, Brian. That topic that we discussed, we didn't actually on there.
Well, we're in the pre-show right now. We haven't officially started yet. We can still make alterations.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still opening my links. I can drop the links into things if you want to update that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to give you the responsibility of updating that because you made the decision that we were going to include it.
All right. Hold on. It's gonna be the last thing on our news doc, which makes sense.
That's fine because it's a good thing to finish off on, I think.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to find the post now. Oh wait, I found it. That was easy.
159 as well. Subscribed 6 month streak, tier 1 sub. Thank you very much. He says oi, oi back at you.
Thank you, 159.
Sashimi as well. Best mod reporting in with a 9 month streak of subs. Thank you very much, Sashimi. We'll confirm or not confirm the best mod stated later on.
It's something.
Yeah, you're best at something. You might not be modding, but you're best at something. Titan721 subscribed at tier 1, subscribed for 7 months as well, and he sends an Olivia heart with a 2. PMSing Chicken subscribed for 13 months on a 13-month streak, says hi.
Wow,
hi,
nice.
thank you very much, dude.
A lot of people subbing, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
And Gio's there as well. Oh dear. There he goes.
Haven't really had a whole lot of time to read through this post. Oh, there's not really a whole lot of information on the post. Never mind. We'll be good. We'll be good. We'll be good.
I'm still opening links, but I'll get there. Ray's here as well. Ray subscribed for 13 months, and he said, "Brian, did you show Jay the floof? He did show me that majestic creature. I have seen it, and I approved.
I showed it. I showed it to everyone. I put it in the Twitch chat, even. Everyone that was here.
In the Twitch chat. He did.
Yeah.
And PMSing Chicken with 400 bits. Thank you very much, dude. We appreciate the bits.
Thank you.
Make
Thank
a
you
big
so
difference.
Gio's in a bar, so we can't hear the stream. Wow. Just turn off the stream.
We can call it names. We can call it names.
Spend time with your friends if you're at a bar, right?
Gio has friends.
He has something.
Shots fired. Yeah, 159. You're right, dude. You're right.
He's in the bar because he doesn't have friends. He's just alone doing shots.
Okay. Alone doing shots. Solo shots.
I like it. I don't know. Probably. Have you ever been in a pub alone?
Yeah, but I did used to own my own pub in the UK, so that kind of.
Did you used to own your own pub?
Yeah, it was my first job out of college. I owned my own pub at 18 years old. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, technically I've still got a license in the UK to sell beer because it lasts for 20 years, so technically I could still start up a pub.
What an interesting fact.
Yeah.
Top Clack past.
Yeah, top Clack pass. Well, maybe at the Q&A we might get some sections, some questions about our personal lives because we've never had those really, or not.
Oh,
Well, I've been on.
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
I've
We
not
used
really
to
had
get
any.
we used to get lots of personal questions, but before you, pre J Top Quack.
Maybe people just aren't interested in me because I'm a boring old fart.
I mean, if you used to own your own pub, that's probably more interesting than anything I've done in my life.
Maybe, I don't know. J Shuff with the 500 bits. Pendemon with the 11-month Twitch Prime sub. I think that's everything.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Top Clack UK bar. Yeah, so the bar that I used to have, or the pub that I used to have, is still there. It's called the Old Bridge Inn at Kirkstall in Leeds. It's still there. It's right on the river. The beer garden used to get flooded every winter because the river used to come up and flood the beer garden. And I once nearly got washed down the river because I was trying to save my beer tables for the garden. You know, the kind of like table with the two benches on either side. I was trying to save them from floating down the river, and I almost got washed down the river. So there you go. More interesting facts.
Very nice.
It was terrifying.
Sadly, I have not owned my own bar, so.
It's not. It's good. It's good fun, but it's hard work.
How do you own your own bar at 18?
So what happened was I started working in the pub when I was 16, just collecting glasses and stuff like that for a bit of extra pocket money. And then I carried on working there all the time. Turned 18 and was working behind the bar and doing all that kind of stuff. And the previous owners at the time upped and left, and it was a brewery-owned pub. So you kind of, the way it worked is the brewery owned the building, and then they let out the business to people who wanted to rent the business effectively, and then it became your own business. And the previous landlord upped and left, and the brewery said, "You've been here a couple of years, you know how everything works. You did pretty much all of the work for the old guy. Do you want us to pay for you to go to the courts to get your license? And do you want to run the place?" And I was like, 18-year-old me, pub, what should I do here? So I said yes, and there we go.
Wow.
It happened.
All right, interesting. How long did you do
that? 2 years. And then I was nearly dead. The challenge came, so in the UK, we introduced a smoking ban right in between the first and the second year. And the first year, we made a massive shit ton of profit. It was great. It was fantastic. I was loving life. And then the smoking ban came in. And the second year, we made less than a quarter of the profit of the previous year. And that was barely enough to keep my expenses afloat and to keep myself afloat. So I left after that second year. But the pub's still there. It's still going. It's not closed down. It's still there.
Very interesting.
So there you go.
Roll Tide, welcome Dixie. Redbeard asks, where'd the video go? Did our video die?
It's still there for me.
OBS is telling me everything's fine.
I'm watching the video when it's still there for me. Pluto says I'd come by at least once a week for a pint of black. Yes, a nice stout, man. Yeah, that's not a bad thing.
That's right. Kelly, hi my sirs. Hello to you as well.
And then he offed the owner and forged his name on the lease. No. I had to go. In the UK, you have to go to what's called the Magistrates Court, which is kind of like a low-tier court, and you have to apply for a license to be able to sell alcohol. And you have to do that for different circumstances, whether you want to sell it in an off-license like a local shop, or whether you want to sell it in a bar, or whether you want to sell it for people to consume on premises or off premises. There's all sorts of different things you have to do. But you have to go and stand in front of a court and ask a judge to give you permission to sell alcohol. And then that lasts for 20 years once you've got it. Technically, I still have that license.
Captain Schwa donating, subscribing at tier 1 sub for 20 months.
20 months.
Man,
that's the highest number I've seen. That's the highest number I've seen.
Yep, I think that's the most, because I think August of 2017 is when we started. So I think, or no, August of 2016. Sorry. Yeah, so August this year should be our 3rd year anniversary, like somewhere by the end of August. So I do believe Captain Schwa does have the maximum length of subbage to Top Class.
He is one of our oldest and staunchest supporters, and for that we love him and thank him.
Absolutely. Welcome, guys. We'll start the show in just a moment. Looks like the bot did ping the Discord, so we can start a little bit sooner here. 21 Rise. Any Kepler avail? Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the group buy is not too far off. It sounds like Top Clack will be getting a prototype to do a really hype build stream with, so I think we're on track for stuff. Yeah, he's been 159's been sharing production pictures of the prototypes and stuff, and they look amazing.
It does look really good. It does. I'm really, really interested to see what you think of the true isolation mount as well, Brian, because I've got it in the J01. And I know, do you know, when I get the second round of prototypes in, I'm going to send you my original J01 just because I think, I'd like to have a play around with it. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to do that. Don't worry, I'll send you an ANSI plate and PCB.
As long as you know you're not getting it back, that's all that matters. Kidding, of course. Kidding. All right, guys. So I'm gonna roll the intro. We're gonna get into the show now that we're a little past 6. Welcome to this week's episode of Top Clack, everyone. Hey, hi, hello. Hope you're all doing fantastic. I am your host, Quakeums, here with my lovely British co-host, Jay. And we are raising the roof today. As usual, we have a ridiculous news doc, like every episode has been lately. So I hope you guys are okay with another fairly long episode, because it's shaping up to be that way. But maybe we can streamline a little bit, and maybe we won't ramble as much. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. Jay, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. It's I'll be honest, it's not been a great week, but today I'm feeling good. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling okay, just a little bit tired. But yeah, I'll be fine.
Jay just pulling an all-nighter for Top Clack.
I'm pulling
he's feeling refreshed.
Yeah, well, you guys know that I've not had the greatest of times in my personal life over the past couple of weeks, but today was the first day that I felt rejuvenated and back to my normal self, if I'm completely honest. So I'm doing all right, and now I've got to take the missus away tomorrow night, because apparently she's dragging me to the ballet, and I've got to drive her there tomorrow night, which means that I'm going to get no sleep. It's my first day back at work tomorrow, so I'm going to get no sleep, have to do a full day of work, and then go and see the ballet. So there we go.
Hashtag just J things. Teha types in chat. Welcome, Sir Nathan Kim. Glad to have you.
Mr. Sir Nathan Lordkin, yeah.
Esquire the Third. There's like someone has
Junior,
like
senior, whatever else we can put in there. Doctor.
Someone has like a layer of like a line of suffixes that go with his name. It's pretty outrageous, honestly.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about what we got in the mail. Do a little bit of a mail call as usual.
Sure.
Why don't you show us what you have received in the last week?
I've received a lot of things in the last week, but I'm only going to show 2 things, because since I was away at the weekend for the meetup, I haven't managed to sort everything out, but I want to show a few things off. So first and foremost, the wonderful Glove Caps sent me some artisans. So he's made 2 gamer kits for me that match GMK Olive, 2 different styles of gamer kits to match that key set. And because he knows that I love copper, he also made me some copper keys. So I have a copper spacebar, which is nice and shiny, a copper ISO enter, because that's also nice and shiny. And then he also made me a copper ISO enter with coins in it. So look at that guy.
What the heck? Who made these?
Coins in it. Glove Caps. So Glove Caps is a UK artisan maker, and he made all of those for me, especially for the meetup, which was really, really nice of him. And the second thing that I got this week that I really wanted to show off, because it's cool, and you might have seen this on the Top Clack Instagram account, but I actually finally got the award, the trophy. We've got it the wrong way around. The trophy for the Keyboard of the Year on Keycap. If you guys can read that, I can. Keycap Keyboard of the Year 2018 for the Hyper 7. So I also got that as well, which is really cool. So that's going to go up on one of the shelves at some point in the next week or so.
Keyboard of the Year. Wow.
Yeah, Keycap Keyboard of the Year. Because I'm a nerd. Because aren't we all?
No, none of us are. We're all normal, active members of society that have no special interests whatsoever.
Exactly. What about yourself, Brian? What did you get, dude? Anything interesting? Anything good?
I got a few caps, yeah. I got a few caps, yeah, but I got a few things. I picked up some of the extras for the linear switches. I'm pretty sure it's linear, not linear, right? I think I said linear once and someone corrected me on it.
No, it's linear as far as I'm aware.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. So that's
Amir will be in chat, I'm sure, if he wants to practice.
Calling Amir, because I think it's linear. I hope it's linear. Regardless, I bought 70 of those. So
Nice.
I need to break these in a little bit and maybe lube those up and find a home for them. I also got my awesome little hand-painted wrist rest from Romeo Trans Group Buy. I forgot the name of the artist, but these finally went out, and I got mine recently. Pretty happy with it. It's pretty adorable. Let's be real here.
It is really cute, is that? Yeah, it's really cute.
It's clear coated too, so it's nice and smooth. I like it a lot.
Cool.
It's a little bit longer.
Protected.
It's a little bit longer than I would like, but I think that's kind of my fault. I think he was taking custom lengths. But
Okay.
I thought the small one was supposed to be for 60%, but I guess it's more like 65s. So it's a little bit too long for like a 60% naturally. So I'm a little bummed about that, but I think that's kind of my fault. Either way, I still definitely like it. And
It is really nice. I'm pretty jealous of that, to be honest.
yeah, and last but not least, we had some artisans that we will actually be giving away momentarily. We'll open up the form momentarily. Some more awesome artisans from CYO Keycaps. I believe Tyler Durden's in chat. He's the one that runs that studio. He likes to send us some artisans every now and then to give away. So we got 3 of those caps. We're going to open up the form in just a moment. In fact, you might as well just post that form now.
I was just going to say, I was just going to grab the link, and
Yeah.
I'll post the link now. And then you guys can take a look at that form and fill it out if you would like to enter to win the caps. That should be in chat now.
Yeah, so...
Again, thank you.
Yeah.
I was just going to say thank you very much, Tyler, because your caps are always spot on. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on, Brian. You were going to say?
that was mostly what I was going to say. But he also made me some Olivia blanks. Some, like, Olivia-themed... Like, trying to show off a couple of these. 1 second.
Hold up, Brian. The form isn't going live. How come?
What?
I've posted the link to the form as I've got it here, but it's not allowing me to.
It opens for me.
The link opens for me as well. Yeah. Hold on. Let me try another one. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I can see you don't like it. Try that link because it's from a different page, but it should take you to the same form.
I hope maybe we're just getting trolled.
There we go. That one works. It was Brian that pasted the wrong one into the news.guys. That's
No way.
Yep.
I don't make mistakes. Who do you think I am? Anyways, he also sent me, just for some of my personal collection, he kind of sent me some blanks that are supposed to match with GMK Olivia Cherry Profile. Very nice.
Oh, nice.
I like these a lot, so I'm looking forward to throwing those on my boards.
Nice. We've both got the Olivia caps this week. That's good.
Yeah, they're awesome. I'm not the biggest artisan fan, but as far as artisans go, I really like blanks that match a key set. Specifically, a WAS cluster, which people don't really use those anymore. But I'm still a fan. A fan.
Yeah. That's what these gamer sets from Gloves are actually. They're WASD sets. But yeah, nice.
Yeah. So make sure, guys, you join that if you want to win it. Win any of those caps. If you don't, then don't join it. If you don't want to do them, just don't join it. Let people that actually will want and appreciate the caps to join it and have a higher chance of winning. So yeah, thanks again. Shout out to CYO Keycaps for those. The rules are all listed in the doc.
They are Easter themed as well, so the pictures don't show it, but they are a lovely chocolate color.
Yeah, well. Easter chocolate is the colorway that these are called. That's what he's calling it. They're all one-offs too, so they're all just one of ones. So if you're into really limited artisans and stuff, there you go. All right, what other announcements do we have? Of course, last but not least, the 24-hour stream coming soon, guys. Promise. We're pushing forward with our little kind of restructure, our refresh, our evolution, and once we get that kind of settled and everything, freshened up and rebranded and everything, that's when the 24-hour stream will happen, and it's going to be glorious. We're still shooting for mid to late next month, May. So Be on the lookout for that. It's going to be amazing. Amazing. Okay, I think that's it for announcements this week. Is there anything else you wanted to go through, Brian, or are you ready to jump into the news? I'm ready to jump into our ridiculous news doc.
Yeah, because this is another big week.
Yeah, but a lot of really cool things, thankfully, too. So can't really hate on that. And starting us off with huge things, we have AIO3 coming at you with the interest check for Polaris. And I just learned about this, not even a week ago, and I felt like it was like a bomb being dropped on me, man. There's so much going on here. So...
looks stunning.
It looks insane, yeah. Like I was kind of in disbelief, honestly. So let's run through some of the specs here. So this is obviously a 60%. There's a seamless design. It's going to be aluminum. There's going to be a polycarbonate version. There is a PCB with a 1.2 millimeter thickness, so we're seeing a bit thinner of a PCB here, kind of like some PCBs from back in the day, or a la something like Heine Bush's new Thin Boy, I think is what he calls it.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to kind of give you a little bit more flex for people that like the more flexy typing experiences. This one, similar to the KBD8X, of which AIO3 is also the designer of. This one also has that kind of flex slot that he's calling it in the middle there, which is supposed to increase flex even more. So you got a thinner PCB, you got the flex slot. And let's talk about the plates. So there's brass or polycarbonate, and you can get them in half plate or full plate. So you could go super flex on this. You can get like a poly half plate, and you get the 1.2 millimeter PCB. Like, there's gonna be a lot of flex option, or you can go a little bit firmer with your brass if that's more your thing. The tops.
I think,
go on.
Sorry, go on. No, I was just going to say, I think it's worth calling out that what you can get with those two different plate types, to be honest, because you can go with the half plate and you can really build it for that flexible feel, given the fact that it's gasket mounted. You've got a flexible PCB. I know we've talked before, but I know people like Max from Cable Car Designs, who's behind the ANSI. He's done flexible PCBs. I know Heine's looking at them, and Wilbur's looked at them as well. And that's a really interesting way to build it. But as well, what AIO3 does say is if you're interested in this board but you want a firmer build, which is what I tend to prefer, you can just put a brass plate in it as well. So you can have the benefits of having that O-ring mount but still retain that stiffness of feel across the board as well. So it's worthwhile bearing in mind that you can build this to feel very, very different depending on what your taste is. And it's quite easy to adjust that just by making a slightly different purchasing decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Neurowinter, who is continuing a gift sub that they got from Geo. So thank you for that gifted sub there.
Yep.
All right, so back to the specs. The top is going to come in standard, HHKB, or win keyless. So you got all three varieties, depending on what you're totally after. Of course, it is a type of gasket mount. But let's talk a little bit about not only the mounting solution, but the kind of foam situation he's got going on here, because this is part of what makes this particular board really interesting to me.
Yeah, so this is really interesting, and it's one of the things when Tez and I were looking at true isolation mount when we were coming up with that design for the Joe, when we kind of had a brief look at did we want to put a layer of the same material for the gaskets between the PCB and the plate. In the end, we decided not to because we felt like it deadened sound a little bit too much. But in terms of this, there's complete foam layers above the underneath the PCB, and then again between the PCB and the plate, and then there's also the gasket material as well to try and give that full isolation and sound deadening. I think what this means is it's going to make sure that the board sound is very much dependent on the switches and keycaps that you use. They're absolutely going to drive what this board sounds like. Otherwise, it's going to have quite a muted sound as well. So it might be really good for one of those silent builds as well if you're looking for a silent build board. But I do think it's really, really interesting that people are moving on to this whole idea of completely isolating the plate and the PCB from the case, because it's something that I've been heavily interested in with my designs, and I know a few other people have as well. So I'm really happy to see this come to the fore, especially when we've seen it in the likes of Kepler as well recently.
Yeah,
different implementations, but same kind of idea.
Yeah, this is a really cool idea. Like, I'm really curious and really interested to see how the foam is going to turn out. Like you said, obviously it's definitely going to quiet things up. And usually with a gasket mount solution, you get a little bit more of a cleaner, more precise sound when you bottom out. So I think this is really just going to kind of give you a really clean, precise, deep tone. Probably not terribly loud. So I'm curious how this is going to sound with something like a Holy Panda, which is traditionally a very offensively loud switch.
We need to do a dual build stream of this, Brian, where you build a flexible one because you prefer flexible typing with something like a linear switch, and I build a Holy Panda brass plate version, and we see how different we can get them to sound, bearing in mind that the same same keyboard, to be honest. That'd be really interesting.
I mean, I'm definitely getting one. I imagine you're getting one.
Same.
Which kind of leads us to one of my favorite things about this. Look at the price. This thing is $265 shipped.
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 That's the shipped price, guys. That's not a lie. That's the shipped price.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like, we thought the KBDfans 8X Mark II was a great value, which it is. This is even cheaper. And if you like the design, it's very similar. You have that kind of that big wide base with the nice angle. You got the brass plate, or not brass plate, sorry, the brass weight that has that kind of comes up the back a little bit, as well as the bottom has a nice little branding on there. This is a good looking board.
Yeah, and you've also got a choice in tops as well, because you can do regular top, you can do wing keyless, or you can do MXHHKB as well. So there's not just one choice in terms of layout as well. There's all three options there available for you. And the good news as well is that there is a fixed wing keyless plate, which is ANSI only, but there is also an ISO plate with the universal one as well. So I'm a happy chappy as well.
Yeah, and I do believe he's also going to release the plate files, which is cool. So if anyone does want to make their own custom plate, they'll be able to. Is this group buy of the year for 2018?
This could be keyboard of the year for 2018. It's it's up there. This is what I like to see about the community, because one thing that we're starting to see, and it's worth shouting out people like AO03 and Kevin Plus, who designed the Polaris. But it's also worthwhile shouting out people like Pingu from IDB Keyboards as well, and people like that, because they're really driving this whole price expectation and what you can expect at different price points. $265 for this keyboard ship is a price that no one would have expected. 6 months ago, 12 months ago, it would have been a case of this board would have been $400 and no one would have batted an eyelid. And now it's approaching, two-thirds of that price, and this is going to sell really, really well. AIO3 is a great designer. He's a fantastic designer, good at PCBs, good at keyboards. It's proven that with all the other projects that he's done recently. This board looks fantastic. Solid brass weight, solid construction, seamless design, which is something I want to see a big return to in 2019 as well. There's no reason to have seams on keyboards anymore, guys. We're past that in design aesthetic. So
everyone in chat flaming me because I said 2018 instead of 2019.
I don't know if you did notice, but I did correct you about that when I said it, but I wasn't going to point it out. But I'm glad the chat did. Yeah,
this is a live show, guys. Sometimes we make mistakes.
I thought you didn't make mistakes, Brian. You opened this show by saying you didn't make mistakes. I don't.
Shh. Talisman did have a funny comment. He says, if this keeps going backwards in time, the stream will be drinking at Jay's pub by the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyways, yes. Sorry for my mistake, guys. Go ahead, continuously flame me on it. Either way...
Apparently I said 2018 as well, but I know I said 2019 at one point. So
whatever, who cares?
If I did
we're talking about the Polaris, guys. The Polaris is looking freaking amazing. I'm trying to find things wrong with this keyboard. I'm trying to find things wrong with its interest check, but I can't. Yep. I just can't.
Yeah, the only question I've got is as well. It says free shipping included. Is that worldwide shipping, or is that just to the US or whatever? That's one thing that hasn't been made clear, and a few people have asked that in chat. I've seen that before on the Discord server. So I'm not 100% about that. The other thing as well, which I'm really, really affectionate about this, is the fact that although he's using a thinner PCB, he is putting rubber standoffs around the rest of the PCB where the stabilizers go. So instead of having 1.5 millimeter thick or 1.6 millimeter thick, whatever they are as standard, he's got 1.2 millimeter thick PCB, and then underneath that he's got little rubber grommets for the stabilizers to clip into as well. So
yeah, and I think you have to have that if you're doing this kind of design or something very similar. And Heinebush recently released a video on his YouTube channel showing how to install those. It's really simple. It's just like a little brace that goes on the back of the PCB where the stabilizers clip or screw in, and it just it accounts for the remaining 0.0 or 0.4 millimeters of distance or whatever it is, and then you're good to go. It's easy peasy, cheap solution. Totally works though, so pretty awesome. Now let's take a look at the colors for the case, because there are quite a few. So we have E-white, black, space gray, blue gray, burgundy red, olive green, rose gold, purple, and then polycarbonate, which I isn't really a color, but you know what he means there. So
I'm really interested in the olive green, because it might be something we're going to talk about later on that might be a really good match for that.
I was just going to say that. Interestingly,
sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. Interestingly, there's no silver
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of odd. Silver is like almost always a default color if you're going to have like a fleet of colors in a board.
Space gray though, man. That's the future, right? That's what Apple keep telling us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I like how space gray, gray is spelled with an A, and blue gray, gray is spelled with an E.
That's a good point. Yeah, one's with the English spelling, one's with the
There,
American
I
spelling.
found something wrong with this interest check.
Wow. Yeah. Well pointed out, I guess.
It doesn't really matter. But this is looking good, guys. Hopefully we can get a prototype of this, check it out. I think regardless, Jay and I are going to be buying these because you just gotta. The 265 shipped for this level of keyboard, I think, is just really quite nice.
Yeah, and just look at that exploded view as well. The two exploded views right at the bottom of the interest just really brings home how in-depth this design is. It's not a simple board. There's a lot of complexity there. There's a lot of design decisions being made there. Yeah, and to get the price as low as I have done, I think it's a fantastic effort.
I'm stoked, man. I am stoked. Can't wait.
Yep,
I don't know if it's been released yet, but I'm assuming this is going to run through KBDfans. I'm assuming here.
Yeah, so there is a KBDfans product page link right at the top that is blocked at the moment, and assembly instructions and plate DXF file links as well. So they will be opened soon, I suspect.
Okay.
But it does look like that's where it's going to run.
Easy peasy then. Awesome. So we're looking forward to this, man. I'm going to try to get a prototype. I think I already asked Wade the other day, but I haven't gotten a reply yet. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'm being too greedy, but this board is looking too awesome not to check out. So hopefully we get the group buy started in the near future, and we can get this bad boy rolling, because I'm stoked to get one of these one way or the other.
Same. Okay, moving on then, guys. We'll move on to our second interest check of the day. This is an interest check for the Knight 75 by Robotical on Keycap. This is a 75% keyboard, top mount board, which has got an interesting top F-row that I'm kind of fond of. I kind of like this, as well as blocker options and multiple different layouts as well. So it supports all your standard and CI, so split space bar. And then you can have, I think you can have split or normal backspace as well. But what's really interesting about this one for me, I don't know if you noticed this, Brian, is that top row, the even blockers with the 1U at the left and the two 1U on the right, but everything else is even with even spacing. That's very unusual for a 75%. Usually they try and either cram an extra key in there, or you've got different sized blockers across the top of the board. The only other board that I've seen that employs this is the Wraith interest check, which was, I don't know if we've actually covered it on the show or not, I can't remember if we did, but that's been run by Amber in the UK, which is kind of interesting. I'm not sure. What do you think of this, Brian?
I think this is the best implementation of it I've ever seen. It's consistent, right? Like, you get the same size blockers all the way through. It looks more symmetrical this way. Or at least
it's
more,
almost,
or at least more even at the very least. I really like this design personally.
Yeah, now there is blocked and non-blocked options. We can see that in the actual pictures of the board. There's both boards with a 0.5 or 0.75U blocker. I can't tell which it is, but it does mean that you can have a couple of different options on your bottom row. You can have the standard 1.25, 1.25, 1.25, 6.25, 1.25, 1.25 blocker, and then your 3 arrow keys. Or you can have the 7U space and just go 1.5U mods and your 3 arrow keys as well if you choose not to have the blocker, which is quite a strong and preferred option in the community.
Yeah, this is pretty.
It's looking all right. It's looking really attractive. Just in terms of some specs as well, guys. Typing angle 6 degrees. Weight is about 2.5 kilograms. The keycaps are recessed by 1 millimeter, so it is high profile. There's no mid seam. Again, this is a seamless design. Big fan of that, so we should see more of that. USB Type-C. Martin has done the PCB for this one as well, so good to see Martin getting involved with a US interest check. Plate files are going to be open as well. So I think this is looking all right, to be honest. It looks like nice. A really nice, solid 75%.
Judging by this picture, it'll look like there is an Alps option, which is pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, they do say it's got MX and Alps support and USB Type-C for both as well. Yeah.
Yep, QMK programmable. Very nice.
One really, really interesting feature as well, which I love to see on boards, and we're starting to see it more and more often, top-facing reset switch. So when you built the board and you realise you need to flash another layout because you haven't got a reset key on there in QMK, the reset key is going to be underneath the spacebar, so you can just take one key off rather than unscrew your whole board to hit reset, which that's just a really nice little touch.
Supremely underrated, I would say.
It is. It's one of those little quality of life improvements. But I know Zondat's done it on a couple of boards. I've done it on the JO one with Martin before, and a few people have done it. But it is nice to see little things like that as well.
Yeah. Looking pretty good, honestly. I like the design. I like the spacers. I like I'm assuming this kind of brass sheet that's on the inside. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be the inside of it.
Yeah.
I like this approach of doing like a weight system. You just have one big sheet of brass. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to have a bunch of engraving or etching. It doesn't need to be a bunch of crazy shapes. It's just a big piece of brass.
Yeah, why not?
I'm a simple man, and I have simple desires, Jay. And this in big sheets of brass in my keyboard is one of those desires.
Cool. I'm gonna buy you some nice big sheets of brass for your birthday. That's what I'll do. Just in terms of timeline, the guy does say in April to May he's going to get some initial IC feedback. He's going to incorporate some PCB and some case revisions based on that feedback. And in June, he's going to get married. So congratulations to the IC runner. I hope your wedding goes fantastically. Then he's going to get prototype V2, and then he'll launch the group buy towards the back end of June. So good luck with your wedding, dude. I hope that goes really well if you see this.
I really like that he added that to the timeline in the interest check. Like he didn't need to, but it's fun.
He's good, and to be honest, I think it's the right thing to do. And the reason why I say this is the right thing to do is because I ran the Hyper 7 group buy, and I brought my wedding forward because my mum was ill, and we did our wedding right in the middle of that group buy, and it delayed things by about a month because I had to concentrate on wedding stuff and all of that kind of stuff. And I got an absolute ton of crap off some people for doing that. So because I didn't tell them prior to running the group buy that I was having a major life event and things. So fair play to the guy in calling it out up front.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking pretty good. Looks like the case is going to be manufactured by Fox Labs, who have done obviously the Leaf 80, the Time TKL, the Orange 75, I think it was called, among other things.
They did, yeah.
More recently, the Leaf 60. So they have a decent lineage behind them as well. So cool, see that. No hot swap, no RGB underglow. So kind of a little bit more back to the basics, which a lot of people do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stoked for this, man. I'm stoked for this.
I think it looks really good.
This is actually a 75% I might buy, which is rare. Because I don't buy 75%, except for the Xeno. That's like the only one I've ever really bought.
I've got a few, but I do like it. It looks good.
Yeah. Looking forward to this group buy. I'll have to see how it goes. All
cool.
Right.
Okay. Jumping on to the next topic then.
Another hot topic here.
Go on, I'll let you do the honors in this one then.
This is the TGR Jane V2 version CE, presumably meaning Collector's Edition, interest check. So, more TGR, man. The community always wants more TGR. We've seen this. The Alice was ridiculously popular. The Jane V2 was ridiculously popular. And now the Jane V2 CE is hitting the limelight here. So, I can only imagine how well this group buy will do as well.
Yeah, this is looking really good. I missed out on the original Janes. I didn't get an invoice. I was a little bit sad about that. But I really like this whole blacked out carbon edition. I think it looks fantastic. It's really well with my aesthetic. I've got a bit of a thing for carbon fibre at the minute. And it does have some changes from the Jane V1 as well. I know that Yutsuki does say there is some changes in here from the original Jane V2. I think I've spotted one of these changes. Now, I haven't been in the community much this week, so I don't know if this is common knowledge or anything like that. But if we look at that second picture of just that key switch on its own, I spy something in that top corner that might suggest it's got a different mounting system to the rest of the Jane V2 line.
I think that's why this picture was taken, now that I actually think about it. Because why else would you show this picture?
Yeah, true. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on this. I don't know if anyone's mentioned it in chat or anything like that, because I haven't been about much this week. But that is really interesting to me. It's something that I'm excited to learn more about.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see, guys, but I'm trying to circle it here with my mouse for you guys. It does look like, if you actually check it out, there's a gasket mounting solution going through here.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get some more info on that, but that could be pretty cool.
Bug Whisper says twist, only that one switch has got gasket mount.
That would be quite a twist, let's be real.
Yeah, it would be quite a twist. We don't know if this is right or not. I did reach out to Sam and asked him, but he hasn't got back to me as yet to see if my suspicions are confirmed. But it does look like a really interesting board anyway. You know, it's a Jane V2, but
yeah,
it's got all of these.
It's a timeless board, right? I mean, the Jane V1 went over super well. If you had to pick one custom TKL to define TKLs in our community, it's probably going to be the Jane. Very classic design, loved by pretty much everyone. This is kind of just another iteration on it. It does share most similarities with the normal Jane V2, but there are still a couple differences, obviously, just like we were talking about this potential gasket / O-ring mounting solution here. Obviously, this version has the carbon fiber bottom, or what I'm going to call an anti-weight, because I like when you put in lighter, you take out heavier material to put in lighter material. Big brain plays. One thing I do think is really cool here is how many different materials they're using. So obviously the case is aluminum, this bottom is carbon fiber, that small little weight here is steel, and then internally there's a brass weight.
Yeah.
So we're seeing aluminum, steel, brass, and carbon fiber all on the same board, potentially with the gasket mount. So
you've got multiple options for the back weight as well. You can have it either matte polished or you can have it mirror polished as well. So there's a couple of different options, it seems. Because the stainless steel weight, it does have a multicolor coating option right in that top picture. So this is the weight that goes across the back of the board, not on the bottom. So it looks like there's a couple of different options for that as well. But I'm hoping that I get in on the group buy for this, because I really like the look of this board, and I do need a good TKL.
Yep, I mean it's looking pretty nice, but let's take a look at the price. He does estimate it should be around $550. I imagine that's before things like PayPal fees and shipping. So obviously this is going to run you well over $600.
Yeah,
which isn't exactly surprising for a nice custom high-end TKL. This is certainly not out of the ordinary, but just be prepared if that's the kind of thing you're into. PCBs, as far as the PCB goes, it is going to still be using a PS2 AV RGB firmware PCB from Winkeyless. So this is pretty interesting. Obviously, several months ago, Winkeyless.kr, they pretty much stopped existing because he just couldn't keep up with the market and the way that everything was headed, and so he just closed up shop. So I'm pretty positive that the PS2 AV RGB firmware isn't even being supported anymore.
No, that's correct, yeah.
Updated, upgraded, etc. So, obviously, this is a dying thing, all right? So, thankfully, you could probably get something like a Honeybush H87A if you want to move a little bit more forward into our more current age of QMK.
Yeah.
So, just something to keep in mind, guys.
Yeah, there's definitely options as well, yeah. He does say that this will be the last. I think he does say something that interesting. It will be the last TGR board with that PCB as well, and with mini USB connector. So hopefully that means that TGR might be moving towards USB-C going forwards, which will be good for the community.
Yeah, I mean PS2 AV RGB was totally cool and fine, but now we're really moving away from it with how popular and easy to use QMK is now. VIA has been hitting the market, and oh my God, is it fantastic! Shout outs to Olivia and Wilba and everyone that works on the VIA project. It's fantastic, and we all freaking love it. So I'd love to see that more. I want to see that on every board. I want to plug in any board and have it be supported by VIA.
Which is a good point, actually, because I mentioned earlier on about having that reset button on the top. If you just support VIA, well, you don't even need
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you don't even need a flashing mode. You just what a time to be alive when you could just point on what you want to switch to do and it just instantly changes. What a time to be alive, guys. Anyways, looking pretty good. If you're a fan of the Jane, this might totally be up your alley. Sounds like Jay's gonna
not, guys. Just don't even try for one, because they're just
Jay's gonna buy all of it.
People, and I'm hoping to get at least one. But yeah, it'd be nice. It would be nice, but we'll see how we get on.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Keeping with the TKL theme, next interest check that we're going to talk about today, the Norbaforce Mark II. So Mr. Norbauer, the lovely Ryan, has released a few days ago his new interest check. He's deep in R&D for a new version of the Norbaforce, his aftermarket upgrade housing for the Realforce 87U family. What do you think, Brian? Is this a good change? Is this different from the round one significantly, do you think?
Well, I'm trying. He only has 2 pictures of it, right? So we can only kind of, surmise so much here. I think aesthetically it looks very similar. It looks like, at least in this second picture, he doesn't have the kind of bottom foot system that the round one has. I don't know, but obviously that's removable if you want to use the Norbaforce, even the Mark I, as a flat keyboard. You can, but there is kind of like a foot system that goes around the bottom edges that lets you kind of prop it up a little bit, which I do prefer. And it looks like he does have in the first picture, but you can't really see it from that angle. So I think we definitely need more pictures before we can say one is nicer or less aesthetically pleasing perhaps than the other. I imagine they're going to look fairly similar. I think the main point here is that this is going to be able to support the round 2 Realforce, yes, the Realforce 87U, which has seen a pretty big change in iteration for the round 2. So very different from the round 1, and obviously you can't put the round 2 Realforces in the Mark I Norbaforce case. But here that problem will be solved, so you can get something like that. You can get maybe I think it'll support like the RGB versions even as well. So
yeah. I think as well as that, he's got better USB-C support. An optional steel rear cover plate to increase the overall weight and reduce interior sound transmissions without the addition of foam, which is interesting because steel usually increases the chances of ping within a board, so I'm interested to see how that works. Some other minor internal technical improvements, primarily to make assembly more straightforward, he says. And in terms of the finishes, he's genuinely considering not doing anodization. We all know he's talked about this before in his other interest checks, and on his, I think he did a video about it as well at one point. But he's had a lot of problems in the past with quality control with anodized finishes. So he's genuinely considering only offering some of the other finishes that he's got, which is I think he's got a wrinkle version, textured powder coat, and then matte Cerakote options. So he's genuinely considering not offering any anodization unless people really, really demand that of him.
Yeah, well, anodization kind of screwed him in his last major group buy for it. If you guys remember, there was it wasn't like a huge deal, but it was a pretty big deal in the Heavy 6 group buy. A lot of the anodized versions just were not up to spec for his quality control. And he just decided to basically scrap them and pay out of pocket to get things redone and done anew. So I think he wound up losing some money on that, I think, and it just was an overall nightmare for him in every sense of the word. So I totally agree with his choice here. I think that if it's ever going to be that kind of problem, you definitely need to move away from it. And we've been seeing this a lot more lately. More people running group buys for boards have been doing things like powder coat, Cerakote, E-white, E-black. The electric phoresis finishes and stuff like that, because they're just more consistent. They're just mo better. Anodization is certainly a little bit cheaper often, but the quality just doesn't come out quite as well, it seems.
No. I guess that leads me on to a secondary question I was going to ask you on this, Brian. What are your thoughts on the Heavy 6 finish that he chose, where you have to wax the keyboard to keep the finish looking nice? I don't know if you saw that video.
Yeah, so that pertains... I did see that video, actually. It was... I love watching Norbauer videos, because that guy...
You can't not watch them, can you? Because he's just fantastic.
Yeah, he's just... it's just amazing. But that's for the PVD steel options, right? So that'll only pertain to the Monolith and the Monolivia, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But that's what it seemed like to me. I don't know. I think it's... Obviously, you don't have to do that, and he was really trying to kind of exaggerate it in the video just for the sake of the situation. But I don't really have a problem with it. So you have to wax your keyboard like a little bit. Like, oh no,
yeah,
my life's over.
I think it's interesting that he's gone that route, and I think the finish looks great. To be fair, on the Heavy Six, that kind of finish looks fantastic once it is polished and buffed.
It looked amazing. Yeah.
I'm not sure I agreed with his additional selling point that expensive keyboards require, or exceptional keyboards require exceptional responsibilities of ownership. I'm not quite sure I bought into that tagline, but fair play and props him on the marketing.
Norbauer is a word poet. He really is.
Yeah, okay. But I think it's understandable that to get the finish he wanted to achieve, he had to change things up a bit, and he found that finish, and it did have a downside, which was the fact to keep it looking nice, you do have to kind of buff up that wax. I think it's broadly acceptable. I don't think there's any issues with it. I think if he offers it again and people are aware up front that they might have to spend 20 minutes buffing the keyboard every day to keep fingerprints at bay, then that's fine. We accept worse. We accept worse finishes on boards, or we have done historically. So I think that's all right.
But I mean, like I mentioned, I'm pretty positive that's only for the PBD steel version. Obviously, these a little bit different. I don't think there is going to be a PBD steel version of the Norbaforce Mark II, and if there is, it's not announced yet, as far as I'm aware. So all of these versions over here are aluminum.
Yeah, that's fair. Sashimi's just calling you out as well, Brian, saying a word poet as opposed to what other kind of poet?
I would tell you, but it's not safe for work, and it could get me banned on Twitch.
There is a safe for work. You could be an action poet. That's a thing, apparently. You could be an action poet.
Yeah. Oh, look. Open your minds, guys. Come on. I'm not wrong here. Sheesh. You guys are just getting way too critical today.
Yeah.
Hashtag hot dog is a sandwich. All right, let's move on.
Whoa. Well, let's just revisit. A hot dog is a sandwich?
A hot dog is a sandwich.
No.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Please allow me to educate you that it is not a sandwich.
Hot dog is a sandwich. It's also a hot dog, but it's also a sandwich. All right, moving on. We have a new little interest check from Input Club, aka Kono, on their storefront. They have the Input Club Symbolic keyboard up, and what even is this, Jay?
So this is a keyboard that's kind of paying homage to all of the Symbolics keyboards of the 70s and 80s, potentially even earlier than that. So back in the day, Symbolics released a keyboard which had all of this, what we call now Space Cadet or Symbiosis keycaps on, and it was designed for programming in Lisp, which was a historic programming language that I know nothing about particularly. But these are the historic boards, and they sell for silly money on eBay now. If you look at Thomas Kreisrand's YouTube, he's done a review of one of these historic boards as well. But they were designed for programming in Lisp. They had something like 8,000 different functions across the board. The Hyper 7 was an attempt to replicate this, a modern way to try and replicate these boards with a kind of extended layout and add more functionality to them as well. But this keyboard is paying homage to those original Symbolics keyboards by using very, very similar keycap designs. You'll recognize a lot of design elements there that we see on modern keycaps as well. So they've got the whole kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 in Roman numerals, kind of a lot of the 2U POS keycaps where you've got two switches underneath them, such as macro, terminal, quote keys. If anyone's seen my Hyper 7, all of those keys are on that board behind me as well. As well as all of the kind of Space Cadet, which is what we've termed them in the community, alphas all across the board as well, just giving all of that different types of functionality. So this is kind of an homage board, trying to just pay a lot of lip service to those older Lisp programming boards as well. That's a really whistle-stop tour through the history. I could talk for hours about this because I love all this kind of stuff, and I love the look and feel of these boards, which is why I've been so heavily invested in bringing Hyper 7 as a project to the community before. It looks really good.
Yeah,
as Camel Leopard says, Lisp service. Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone in chat still talking about hot dogs being a sandwich or not. That debate, man. Anyways, one thing I found kind of interesting about this interest check thread is there's no picture of what the product is supposed to be like.
Well, I think the black one is what the product is supposed to be like. The second picture is the original Symbolics board. So I think the black one is what the prototype is supposed to look like. It's going to be the modern version. And then there's an even earlier version of the Symbolics board with the huge bezels, which I think the Exempt board was actually using this slightly as inspiration for its 65% layout and the kind of big bezels around the side on. So there is 3 different pictures there, and I think the black case one is what the new modern board is supposed to look like, to try and pay homage to.
I like that. I like that. Lubed Helios says this will take $100 worth of stabs. There's so many 2U keys.
No, all of those 2U keys 2U keys shouldn't be stabilized keys. They, like for example on the Hyper 7 there is 32 2U keys and there isn't a single stabilizer in the board. Across the whole board, 213 keys, there isn't a single stabilizer because all of the 2U keycaps have 2 switches underneath, because they're designed to be harder to press.
True.
Like literally twice as hard, and that's how these original boards were designed. So I would only assume that the later version of this will have 2 switches underneath it or some sort of different mounting system. They may go with the stabilizer option. They may choose to do that, but the original boards absolutely didn't do that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I guess we'll have to wait and see where this goes. This seems like still a fairly early interest check.
It is, but it's going to be something that I'm watching hella closely because I definitely want one of these.
You know it's serious when Jay says hella.
Yeah, I really, really want one of these. I really, really want an original Symbolics keyboard, but I just don't have $4,000 to drop on one. So,
yeah. Hey,
yeah. Interestingly enough, another small fun fact as well: these Symbolics boards were also where OTD got their thumb logo from as well. If you look at the second picture on there, Brian, you can see the thumb logos at the side. That was where the old board. Yeah, that's where OTD got their logo from.
Very nice. Yeah, so if you're into vintage stuff, this could totally be right up your alley. If you're into key sets, though, which is what we're moving on to next, maybe you're into the interest check for the highly anticipated GMK Olive. So Olivia, of course, GMK Olivia is back for more, releasing her interest check for GMK Olive, which has been teased for a while in the past. But the interest check is officially up now, and a lot of people have been waiting for this, man. This is a good-looking set.
It's a very good-looking set.
I think it's already my favorite green set.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but to be fair, I don't really care for like other green sets that much. I didn't really care that much for camping. I didn't really care that much for coniferous, Royal Alpha, whatever. They're all kind of whatever to me. But Olive...
green tea?
Well... Okay, when that hits GMK, then maybe we'll talk. But until then, we have GMK Olive, and this is a nice, subtle green. I like this a lot.
It is. I'm quite a big fan of this. I like the fact that it's green on, that grey kind of... It's almost like a really dark olive green, is that mid-colour. It's a really dark grey green. I really like that colour. I think it'll match with a lot of things. I think it looks really nice with that olive colour and with the tan kind of beige colour that's here as well. Those alphas just look great. They really pop.
So apparently this was originally intended to match with versions of the Moon TKL and or the LSJ Aries 60%, which are group by that have happened previously. But I don't know. Was that why it's been teased for so long? Because those keyboards aren't exactly brand new, so maybe that's when she started designing them.
I think it is. I think it's when Olivia kind of got the inspiration for this set was due to those boards, and I think it's just taken a while because she's been busy with other projects to get this off the ground. I think the kits look good. I think the set looks nice. I think it'll work with a lot of different colour boards anyway. I don't think you need a particular green or grey of a board for it to work. I think it'll work well on silver or black or a lot of other colours as well, so I think that's fine. Being a little bit nitpicky about the base kit, the first thing positive, it's got ISO in there. I'm hoping Olivia keeps that in. The negative about it is there's 2 different variations of the ANSI enter. There's the dark grey version and there's the green version. There's only the green version of the ISO enter, and which is slightly nitpicky of me, but That's a concern of mine.
Forces you into the accent enter.
Yeah, it forces you into the accent, because I tend not to use the accent enter when I'm going to do stuff like this. I'd rather use accent arrows or something like that. The second, in fact, I'd rather have the dark grey enter key than have the green one as the standard in the base. I'm just going to go with only one option, which is fine. The second thing is forced novelties in the base kit. That we know what that does to price. So I'd be interested to see if there's any kit development on this.
That's true. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the novelties. I think they're okay. I probably wouldn't use them. I'm probably going to buy the set regardless, but
yeah,
it would be okay if they were in a separate kit as well, but, you know, that's just design choice. Also, something to note, which I thought was kind of interesting. So if you recall, during the GMK Olivia group buy, I was all, you know, huffy and puffy and upset that you could not get alpha-colored spacebars in the base kit, which is, as we know, kind of the standard. You know, you can include mod-colored ones and accent-colored ones or whatever, but most people use and want the standard alpha-colored spacebar, me being one of them. And here, we see the complete opposite. We see the alpha-colored spacebars in the base kit and nothing else. So I wonder what the thought behind that was and why she maybe didn't want to include only the accent spacebar in the base kit like she did with GMK Olivia. Could just be a design thought, maybe didn't quite work with the colorway as much as she wanted. I'd be interested to find out, though.
Interestingly, there's no mod-colored spacebar, which I thought would kind of set off this set nicely. I think having that whole bottom row kind of mod-colored would be quite nice, rather than accent-colored for me. But
guys, I'm not still bitter. I'm not still bitter. I still bought the set. I still bought GMK Olivia, and I still own it, and I still like it, and I still use it. I just prefer the quote-unquote proper spacebars. Because I'm not the type of guy that uses accents for most sets. I just don't. It's a little too flashy for me most of the time. But I get, obviously, she is the designer. What she says goes, and that's kind of final. But that doesn't mean I can't complain about it. But here, I don't have to complain about it because the spacebars that I would use already come in the base kit, and I like that. So, are you going to be buying this set, Jay? Is this a must-buy for you like it is for me?
It's up there. I think there's a lot of green sets coming through. I know we've seen the GMK Urban Camo, or whatever it was called, from Pingu. I know we've seen GMK Green TTs, and now there's this green set as well. I'll probably only pick up 2 out of the 3 if I end up picking up more than one. But if I only had to pick one of those 3, it would probably be this one at the minute. Just because of that really clean alpha look to it. I really like the alphas on it.
Yeah. I think this is a beautiful set. I mean, obviously, Olivia knows what she's doing. This is probably going to be another home run. But we'll have to wait and see. It looks like it will be ran through NovelKeys, if this is to be believed, and the information about the other proxies will follow shortly.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Let's be on the lookout for this, because this is certainly going to happen, guys. Obviously.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. I'd imagine it might be after the set that is currently running on NovelKeys. So
maybe
that could just be my guess. I don't know. Speaking of, let's move on to the next interest check for a GMK set. This is GMK Flow by Rafa, who I do believe does still watch and support the show. So shout out to Rafa if you are watching. This is GMK Flow, which to me looks a little bit like the set that Merlin has been working on. I think he's calling it GMK Merlin now. Used to be called Cerulean Sage, if I'm not mistaken.
Cerulean Sage, yeah. So I think the difference between those two is that this one's got green and Merlin's set has gold stroke yellow kind of accents to it. But the rest does look very similar. So this, in terms of this set, it uses WS1, which is a GMK stock colour for the alphas, and then 2 custom colours, which are 2 Pantones, which we've had issues with Pantones before in the community. I think RAL is what GMK prefer, but for this instance, he's gone for Pantone colours. I really like the colours, to be honest with you. I think that blue is really, really nice. That kind of deep blue is a lovely colour.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. I think this is a pretty good looking set, and we're actually, one thing that's kind of cool is we're really seeing the keycaprenders.com being put to work here. So we talked about that, I think last episode is about roughly when they launched, and it's a new keycap rendering service that is a really awesome tool for the keyboard community. Shout outs to Pingu, who set that up. So we're seeing a lot of people put that to use throughout a lot of the interest checks here. That's nice. This guy really put that site to work for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta
And
respect that.
just scrolling right down to the bottom of these pictures, the Keycaps Set actually looked way better on that green cipher by Max from Cable Car Designs, which I built on stream a couple of weeks ago. It really pops on that color of board. So maybe I need to get my cipher resprayed if I'm going to pick this up.
Yeah.
But I think this looks good. What do you think to the kits, Brian? Looking at the main base kit, you've got TKL, ANSI 60, 65, and HHKB support, as well as the Sangan bottom row, but it's quite limited in terms of compatibility.
This is a pretty limited GMK set as far as GMK base sets go. This is pretty darn cut down. I'm okay with it because obviously it'll still have all the keys I need. But, I'm not one of those cool people like you that can just pick out everything that's right and wrong about compatibility at a glance. I have to look at it for like an hour.
It's not that I say that it's right or wrong. I think it's entirely up to the designer what they want to put in there or not put in there. That's entirely up to them. One thing I am a fan of is if you're going to split out certain things like numpad and ISO, that you don't put them in individual kits, you do tie them together. That means that the numpad users are bolstering the ISO users and the ISO buyers are bolstering the numpad users. I think that's a really good way to do it. It helps those secondary kits hit MOQ and get closer to MOQ. So if you're going to split out sets, I think this is the way to do it. It does have both the accent and the standard ISO enter key in that kit as well, so I think that's a good option. I think this is all right. I think it should be a relatively cheap set, given the fact that it's got the limited compatibility in the base. There's going to be some funky layouts that people are going to struggle with, but that's always going to be the case with the keycap sets. So, I think 90% of what people want these days is covered there. 65% support is there, but people are going to have to be limited on what they choose to put on there. The right-hand column and 75% support.
No matter what you do, you can't please everyone, right?
No, you can't.
You can add all the compatibility you want. You can break down as many kits as you want, but at the end of the day, people are then going to complain about price. They're going to complain about MOQ. Then you can cut down stuff to reduce cost and hit MOQ easier, but then people are going to complain that they want more compatibility. So it's a lose-lose, really. You just try to do the best that you can. You try to do it for as many people as you can, and that's just how it is. And we gotta respect that personally.
Yeah, he does also say that he wants to add a spacebar kit in the future, and he based these two kits off of GMK Minimal, which we know did really well for Jan and Ryan, who ran that recently. So I think these kits are all right. I don't think there's anything huge that's missing. I don't think anyone's really going to kick up a stink about keys missing out of these sets. I think it's kind of like the bare minimum you could run as a base kit, and then it's got an optional second kit as well. So and if they add a spacebar kit, then I think it gives us that.
One thing, if I'm being nitpicky here, that I'm a little disappointed in is actually just the very first sentence of this interest check. He says, "Hi, I'm really bad at writing things about my work. Stuff like backstory, inspirations, and such are not really my thing, so I'll just get to the point." That makes me feel really uninvested in this set, because I don't know what he's theming this around. There's no inspiration, there's no backstory. It's just like, bam, here's some colors. Do you like it?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess even if he's not good at writing that kind of stuff, just even some bullet points around what he's based it on or what he's thinking about and what his inspiration was would be good. You don't have to be particularly articulate to kind of explain that stuff. You can just write it in basic text.
And I mean, it's certainly not needed, guys. Like I'm not being that hard about this. It's just more like it makes sets more interesting to me when I feel like they fit a theme. Or I know what's going on with the key set. Obviously, if the colors are nice and people like it, it's going to sell even if they say nothing about it. But to me, I'm a little bit more interested in products that actually have something going on with them besides just here's a GMK set with a couple colors.
I think what makes it worse is that he kind of hints that he does have a reason for coming up with these colours and then doesn't actually give that reason. If he hadn't have mentioned that first sentence at all, he just started with "This is GMK Flow, these are the colours," you probably wouldn't have even raised that, Brian, if I'm honest. That might be the reason why probably there's some kind of some subconscious bias working there, because he's saying he's got a reason for picking these colours, but we don't know what that reason is.
Yeah. Not Zesty Salsa in chat says, I think having a theme shows some inspiration, passion, or interest into design rather than just throwing colors and getting it rendered. And that's pretty much what I feel too. I mean, I don't want to hate on the guy. Obviously, he's probably a nice guy and he just wants to do his set the way he wants to. But you know, the whole point of Top Clack is to kind of, you know, get in depth with this stuff and sometimes get nitpicky and talk about not only what's going on but our opinions and stuff as well. So
yeah,
you know, whether you disagree or agree, that's my opinion on it. Anyways,
fair enough. Yeah. Oh, actually, just scrolling down, there is a spacebar kit in there as well. Now he has actually done that, and he's quite a way down in the comments. I've just been scrolling down, but
got it.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a spacebar kit.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. Also, shout outs to Mr. Petrov, who I think a while ago, we forgot to mention it, donated 1,001 bits. So thank you very much, Mr. Petrov. I saw it. I saw it and I remembered it. Appreciate it.
I didn't see it, so I apologize.
It's all good. That just means I'm better than you, Jay.
Whoa. Says the guy with OBS open that gives him the notifications when people drop bits.
So next up we have the group buy, which just opened up very recently for GMK Striker over on NovelKeys. So this set has gone through a couple different, at least naming revisions. I remember when he first launched it, it was a bunch of letters that pertain to the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Because the Japanese squad they almost made it to the quarterfinals, but lost against Belgium in the very last minute of extra time. He was obviously very inspired by the Japanese team or their performance, and he felt like doing a set themed around it. So then we got this, and then it was, for some reason, it was called like GMK like Samurai Blue or Blue Samurai, I think, for a little while.
I think that was due to the legends, yeah.
Yeah, and then apparently he has settled on GMK Striker, which I think is a better name than the last two, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So glad,
position in football, yeah.
Yep, glad to see that. And not only am I glad to see that, I'm glad to see a $100 core kit again. Love seeing those $100 GMK sets, man.
Yeah. Okay. I think in terms of this, I think you're right. It's a great price. There's a couple of different options for kits. I think there's numpad, 40s, and split spacebar, and then a couple of armor options as well, which we'll come on to in a minute. In terms of the group buy, it runs until May the 18th, so you do have a fair bit of time if you're going to join this. What do you think to the set itself, Brian? What's your thoughts on it?
I'm not in love with the set. I think it's nice. I think it'll sell. I think it'll do pretty well. People will enjoy it. But the colors are just okay to me. I feel like I've seen enough blue sets in my life now, and it's nice, but I'm probably gonna have to pass on this one. I do like two-tone sets though. That's something I do like, even regardless of color. Like, if a set just is two colors, I tend to like that a lot more.
Okay, see, I was going to have the exact opposite comment. I'm not a fan of that whole consistent look of, just two colors across the board. What I really like is the dark blues that he's got as the optional accent escape keys and enter keys and things like that. I think if those had been the mod colors, I would like this set a lot more. If it had kind of been like more uniform in terms of having a mod color and an alpha color, I'd have liked it a bit more. But again, this is just personal taste. This is nothing against the design or anything like that. I completely get the aesthetic that Zambu's going for here. He hits that target well. Just the set doesn't work for me color wise. It's just not something that works for me. I'm not really a fan of the sub legends either. That's not something I really like on any set.
Yeah, I think the hiragana is getting a little played out. But to be fair, this set was designed at the time in 2018 where the hiragana sub legends were just kind of starting to pick up. So at the time that was the thing. Like, everyone was just doing that. So
yeah.
I think the fact that it's been so long since it was teased versus when it launched kind of hurts the hiragana effect. But I mean, who am I to say that? A lot of people still really enjoy the hiragana sub legends, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. Again, it's just personal taste from myself. What I do really, really like about this set, though, are the two Rama artisans. Both of them, I think, are fantastic. the Mount Fuji blue keycap with the white enamel fill, and then the white with red enamel infilled Japanese logo. I think both of those look fantastic.
Yeah, I think
I'm really a big fan of both of those.
Yeah, both of these are pretty good, honestly. Personally, I think the Crimson one, the Rama Crimson, is way better than the Rama Mount Fuji. But
okay, I like both.
I do like that the Mount Fuji one does fit with the accent theme a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I think I might end up picking up the Rama keycaps rather than the set itself, but I do really like the Rama caps. I think they look great.
Certainly. So, what do you... Okay, so, I mean, obviously, let's play devil's advocate for a second. Looking through the kit breakdown, there is quite literally 0 ISO support. How does that make you feel, and do you think that is the proper direction to go with this?
Okay, so there's probably a couple of different answers to this one. The first answer is it's completely at the designer's discretion, and I completely get that. Zambu has been really clear on this set won't have ISO support from the very beginning, right when he first designed it. He's always said all along it wouldn't have ISO in there, and I've not been expecting it to. So that's fair enough. He's laid that up front. He said he's not supporting it in this set, and that's fine. One thing that I do think we should be doing as we move forward in the community is we should be more encompassing and more inclusive rather than exclusive. I think that, and this is just my personal take on it, but I think the more exclusive we become, the more that limits and stifles creativity, it limits people's options. As the community grows bigger and we have more people coming in from the EU community, which is where we're seeing a lot of growth at the minute, there's people that are constantly saying, why can't I find ISO keycapped anymore? Everything I can buy is only ANSI. Why is that? And it's kind of a difficult conversation to have. So for me personally, I do think that the community should be more inclusive, even if we're offering it as a kit. If that kit doesn't make MOQ, fine. But that doesn't mean to say we shouldn't offer it. It should certainly be something that's there. So I don't... And this is just me, and I'm saying this as an ISO user, so bias is not intended, but it's probably there subconsciously. But I do think we should be more inclusive as a community and not cut out certain things like that. If HHKB lost a lot of popularity over the next couple of years, I don't think we'd see that removed from base kits. I think that would stay, or it would be moved into a secondary kit, but it would never lose, traction within the group buy. I think numpad's the same. My vote is, for the sake of a few extra keys, put them in the numpad kit, and use the numpad and the ISO users to bolster each other, and that way you're more likely to get that secondary kit to hit MOQ for the sake of $2 or $3. For ISO, you only need 4 keys. It's not a lot of keys. It's 4 keys.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'd be interested to see where this kind of goes, because when you buy GMK sets kind of in the past, there's pretty much always ISO support, whether it's in the base kit, whether it's a separate kit. But here, just having it removed completely is really intriguing to me, honestly. I'm curious to see if the community is actually going to move towards this direction of just completely removing, like you said, just 4 keys or whatever, or if we're going to kind of see ISO make a comeback here and.
Maybe it could go either way, and I think the only way we'll see that is to see what happens. I mean, I'll be disappointed if it does go that way. I think it's we shouldn't limit people's choices. We should be people join this hobby to have custom keyboards, and that means they want to customize them the way they want them. And if we just say as a community, oh well, no one can have that layout anymore because only 20% of the community want it, then that just seems a little bit disingenuous to me. It seems to be the wrong way to do it. It's one of those things, and I know when I've spoken to Sam about this before, he's used Mastrop and Hamon as the kind of guidepost for this, but it's a really poor use case to say that ISO doesn't sell, because one, it's run on Mastrop. Mastrop isn't really common within or commonly used within the EU because. Well, we have import fees and customs fees to pay on top of whatever the Mastrop price is, and shipping's not cheap and all of that kind of stuff. So that increases the cost from that perspective, and we wouldn't have to pay all of those costs if the keycaps were shipped straight from Germany to the people in the EU. The fact that it goes out of the EU to the US and then comes back in means it costs us more. So using Mastrop as an example isn't probably the greatest example of that. And secondly, for the Hamon kit, it was UK ISO, so it was limited to a subset of people within the ISO community, rather than offering a wider ISO kit or just the bare basics of 4 keys of ISO within the base kit. So I think it's a flawed study in using Hamon ISO kit as an example of why ISO doesn't sell, for a couple of reasons. And people are free to argue with me or not on that one. But I do think it should remain at somewhere within kits or somewhere within availability, purely because I think not having that capability is disingenuous and it's driving exclusivity rather than inclusiveness. And I'm all about being inclusive within the community. That's what I really think we should be heading more towards.
Sure. All right. Very nice explanation there. All right, so that is GMK Striker. It is open right now. It'll be open until May 18th, so you got roughly 3 weeks or so before that closes. You have a little bit of time to get in there. $100 price point for the core kit. Can't really complain about that if you're a fan of the colorway. That's a pretty cheap GMK set. It doesn't really get a whole lot better than that. So, hop on that if you're into it.
Yeah, if you like this, guys, it's a great price. It's a great colorway. Other than the ISO, the base kit's really good. So, I think it's a really strong base kit other than those few keys. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's move on to our next interest check from Mito, or Mito. I never remember how to say his name, honestly.
Mito, yes.
And I apologize for that. I used to say Mito, and a couple people corrected me and said it's supposed to be Mito. And then I started saying Mito, and then a couple people corrected me, and they were like, it's Mito. And I was like, I don't know what it is anymore. So I'm just going to say Mito.
I've always called him Mito, and no one's ever corrected me before. So feel free to correct me if wrong.
Yeah. Anyways, so this is the interest check for Pulse GMK, which is pretty interesting for a variety of reasons. First, let's take a look at the base kit itself here. Pretty standard stuff. Obviously, the Pulse colorway, nothing new. He's done this in SA, I don't know, 3 times now? At least twice. But I think it might have even been 3. But, so pretty classic colorway in our community at this point. Not really terribly surprising. What is kind of interesting is he is introducing optional alpha kits for different sub-legends. So he has an Arabic kit here, and a Hangul kit here. And I've actually been told by a couple people now that the Hangul kit doesn't actually have proper Hangul legends.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting, to say the least.
There's a couple of points to this as well about the Arabic one, which we'll get onto. But you're right. So a couple of people mentioned to me as well that the Hangul doesn't have the right legends. I don't know what the wrong bit about this is because I haven't had a chance to delve into it properly. But it doesn't look like all of those legends are correct. And originally he was going to call the Hangul set the Soul set, as in the city Soul, and he wanted to call the Arabic set Saudi, which upset a lot of people.
I had that as a talking point in our news doc, and then I just realized no, it's fine, because I just realized that in both his interest check and the one on Massdrop, he changed the name from Saudi to Arabic, which is more consistent with how he had Hangul as well, which an interesting choice, because he had Hangul, which is obviously the the script for Korean. It's the text format or whatever, and then he had Saudi, which is not the text format for the language that he was going, and Arabic is. So I thought that was kind of a weird inconsistency that he was trying to pull, but it looks like he's refreshed that, and now it is back to the more normal kit.
I did see an explanation that he was originally going to call the Arabic kit Saudi and the Hangul kit Seoul, as in the city and the country, respectively.
Gotcha.
And then he decided to change that because he didn't want to be disrespectful to people who aren't from Seoul who use the Hangul kit. And then there was quite a bit of discussion. It wasn't negative discussion. It was just quite open fact that not everyone who uses Arabic legends in real as part of their language are from Saudi Arabia, and there's lots of other countries in the United Arab Emirates that use these. There's lots of other places around the world that use these kind of Arabic legends as well. I think, if I remember rightly, the Farsi languages use the same glyphs as well. So it was the right thing to do, to change it back to be something that's a little bit more non-specific and more inclusive. Again, driving that inclusive banner, I think that's something we should always do.
Yeah. With that kind of drama, or whatever you want to call it, aside, how do we actually feel about the key set itself?
I don't think it works as well in GMK as it does in SA. I think this is one of those sets that looks nicer in SA than it does in GMK, just based off that base kit render. And I know there's a couple of pictures on boards, but there's not enough board pictures for me to make a decision on whether I really like it or not. I think we need to see a lot more renders of this one. And as well, I'd like to see a lot more of the kits fleshed out, because I know there's the base kit, which kind of seems to be missing a few different options. I don't see. I don't know. Oh no, HHKB is there. I was going to say I don't see HHKB support. It is in there. There's a lot of things missing from that, but there's a lot of kits that are work in progress as well. So hobbyist novelties, Mycon's Euro kit, which I assume is where the ISO keys are going to be, and then Colvrak as well. I think given the fact that it's Mito and he's doing it on mass drop, he's got the potential to get all of these kits to MOQ. I think if you did this anywhere else, you would struggle to get half of these kits to MOQ.
Yeah. I mean, obviously this is somewhat early. A lot of the kits still under construction, including the Novelties, Mycon's Euro Hobbyist kit and a Colvrak. What do you think the Hobbyist kit is? Is that going to be the Novelties? No. This is Novelties.
No, it's the 40% kit is usually the Hobbyist kit.
Okay, fair enough.
What it's referred to, yeah.
I think I kind of agree with you. I think this set looks, it looks okay. I think it did look a lot better in SA, just like you had mentioned. The one thing I do like, even if it's not done, 100% properly, is I'm always a sucker for sub-legends that aren't used very often in our community. So we, Hiragana sub-legends, a little played out, Hangul sub-legends, a little bit played out. I like them, but I think they're played out. Arabic sub-legends, bring them on. Thai sub-legends, bring them on. Like, I want some new, fresh variety here, and I think that it's a cool thing.
A question, actually. Have we ever seen an Arabic sub-legend GMK set? I can't think of one, and that makes me wonder if that's going to need new molds or not, because they're not going to be dye sub or pad printed. They're going to be double shot, I assume.
Yeah,
I know we've seen a Hangul GMK set.
Yeah.
So that's been done, but I don't know if we've seen an Arabic one. I can't think of one.
I cannot think of an Arabic GMK set either. Hopefully, someone in chat will correct us if we can't think of one. Cyrillic, yeah, Cyrillic's used pretty often. I like Cyrillic too, but I think it's overplayed.
Yeah, is there a Cyrillic GMK one actually? Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, Cyrillic sub-legend. Probably.
I think there is on the historic ones, but I think the pad printed. I think GMK Red Honey had them actually, the Oko set, but I think that was pad printed, not double shot, because the sub legend was red and the double shot legend was black. So I don't know whether that means that GMK have got the molds for Cyrillic or whether they've just got pad printing options for Cyrillic.
Melodit says Yuri, but Yuri didn't have sub legends. Those were Cyrillic mono legends for the Cyrillic kit.
Yes.
There. So
yeah,
and
the sub legends will be different. Yeah. The molds for a sub legend set have the actual the alpha character and the sub legend character on the mold itself. When it was a mono set, it was kind of like that was the main the main legend. So you would need a new set of legends if that doesn't already exist.
Yep. All right. So bam, that is your interest check, guys, for GMK Pulse.
I think it'll do well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, being on Mass Drop and having Mito's name behind it, that pushes a lot of things, pushes a lot of sales for sure.
I think he got something like 15,000 likes when he posted that first render of it on Instagram, so I can't see it not selling well.
Yep, fair enough. All right, next up we have another interest check. I'm gonna let you take this one because I actually haven't looked at this thread yet because I'm awful.
Okay. Oh wow, my link hasn't worked. Hold on a second, guys. It's not come up as a link. Give me 1 second. Let me paste that.
Take off the topic scene or whatever.
Yeah. I have them. Yeah. Okay. So this is GMK Leclaire, which is named after the new Ferrari driver. So for those of you who don't follow Formula One, Leclaire is a new driver who's joined Formula One 2 years ago, and he's now driving for Ferrari. Alongside Sebastian Vettel, and this key set is based basically on the Ferrari team colours of black, red, and then yellow for the shell stroke Ferrari badge logo. It's an interesting colourway, I'll give it that. Now, I'm a big F1 fan, and you can see the fact that he's pasted a picture of the 2019 F1 Ferrari car as well there to show you how the colours look on the car. I'm not sure I'm a fan of the actual way the set looks, but I love the inspiration for it. It's nice to as you said before, Brian, it's nice to have this backstory, this explanation of where it comes from, all of that kind of stuff. I'm not sure that this set is something I would like to buy.
It seems pretty extreme, and I'm a little curious because in his very first sentence he says, "I have had an idea for this for a little while, but finally messed with it after KeycapRenders.com came out. Likely nothing will come off it, but I'd still like to share it." So obviously he doesn't really seem like he has any intention of actually going through with this. And oddly enough, he says he messed with KeycapRenders.com, but I don't see any of those here. Oh, I mean, I guess later on in the thread, someone else added some. But
there is one, yeah.
But it's strange, man.
Yeah, it's nice to see the inspiration. I'm a big F1 fan. I know a few of the people in the community like Zonda are as well. I can get the inspiration behind this. I think it's really good. I suspect there's better options in terms of colours within the F1 world to use as a key set theme rather than the Ferrari red. It's going to be very divisive as is that brighter colour across that much of a key set. I think you're going to struggle to get people to buy into it. So yeah, but it is really nice to see. So fair play on this guy on sharing something that he's created, that he's happy with. We should absolutely be celebrating that kind of stuff within the community. And I don't want him to feel that I'm being negative about it, because I think his, the insight and things like that he's got into the backstory and the history is really good. I just don't think the key set works for me, and I think it would struggle to hit MOQ if you ran it, because it's going to be very, very jarring to the eye, to say the least.
It's certainly different. We'll just say that. But hey, could be for you. Would you be more likely to buy this set because he actually has a little bit of a theme and backstory going on, as opposed to it just being like, here are the colors?
If someone did a really good Formula One themed key set that I thought was, even if I wasn't a fan of the colours, but I thought it was a good looking set, or mediocre set to say the least, I would probably buy it because of the F1 link. Yes, because I'm a big F1 fan.
And see, that's what themes can do. That's exactly what happened to me with GMK DMG. If you were to just show me DMG and you were like, here's the colors, I'd be like, that's a nice looking set. I might not buy it though. But once you actually put that backstory, like you bring my childhood into this key set for me, I'm invested now. I have to buy this set. So that's just kind of a callback to when we were talking several topics ago about needing or not needing themes or inspiration or backstory for any kind of key set or design. Sometimes you can pull people in with that, man. You really can.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree. Yeah. Sometimes just having that hint of a inspiration is what it takes to get someone interested in the set.
Yep. All right, let's move on to another set that has seen a little bit of controversy in the past, a little bit of drama. Not that it wasn't handled very well by the designer of this, but that's it's a topic for another time, I guess. Regardless, this is the group buy for Max Key SA Leviathan, which is a pretty interesting looking keycap set over on KBDfans.
Yeah, so this is designed by user One Creative Mind, who has done a couple of keycap sets previously. I think he did DSA Ferris, and this is inspired by the Murky Depths and the Eldritch Beasts of Yore. SA Leviathan rises from the deep. So he's using a lot of that kind of esoteric writings to try to kind of get the influence for this one. With a lot of references to a certain writer. If you guys are interested in that, if anyone wants to read the Call of Cthulhu or anything like that book, soon you might know where the inspiration for this one comes from. But it's an interesting key set. It does bear similarities to other key sets that we discussed in GMK format, but it is significantly different in some ways as well. It's in SA profile. Interestingly enough, and one thing I really like about this is that one of the first renders we see is a HHKB layout 60%, but it's an ortho layout. I think that's kind of interesting. It looks really good.
Yeah, so that's actually the Boardwalk PCB from Pank Interactive, and that's something we don't see rendered very often. So that's actually kind of cool. I really think that's fun to see.
Yeah, and then he's also got an ISO render in there, which not everyone does as well. So I'm happy to see that as well.
Yeah, this guy going all out. He also has a full ortho Grid 600 render, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just shown what the art of the possible is with this key set as well. Yeah. And he's doing it using alternative layouts that most people wouldn't consider as their daily driver layout, or wouldn't even consider looking at all. But it does really show off the strength of the key set, in my opinion. It's this lovely deep blue depths kind of color with the bright green. You know, it kind of works in those in those respects. In terms of price, the base kit is $60, which for the size of the base kit is pretty damn good. You know, you've got full TKL support with options for ANSI, enter, and your escape and arrow options. But if you do want any more compatibility other than TKL, even certain other bottom row options, you do have to start reaching out into the different kits. So there's the alts kit, which will give you Sangan support, as well as some of the HHKB modifiers that you need as well. Numpad and ISO kits as well, but it does have full numpad support and full UK ISO in there too. There's also a really interesting kit here called the 660 GK64 kit, which the main benefit of this one is that it gives you a 2U shift key for those of you that like that alternate bottom row stagger, or you have a GK64, which is basically condensing a 60% to give you arrow keys on the right hand side. As well as Mac blanks, space bars, and novelty keys.
Yeah,
I think we've already touched it, and there's all sorts of other ones as well, because there's 1450 ortho ergo blanks, ortho alphas as well. So you don't have to buy the base kit if you want to just get a solely ortho build. You can just buy the ortho kit and the alphas, and same with the ergo kit and the alphas.
There's a lot of kits. Is what James trying to say.
A lot of options. Better way to say it. There's a lot of options. Yeah.
Here's something I thought was kind of interesting. So on the KBDfans site, there's actually an option within the kits when you're buying them to just check all. You can just click all. For $435 and get literally every kit that it comes with.
But you are getting 4 sets of alphas by doing that. You are getting the base alphas, the ortho and alphas, the ergo and alphas, and the blanks and alphas, as well as an additional blanks, an additional ergo, and an additional ortho kit. So
for less than the street price of GMK Olivia, Jay, you can get all kits of SA Leviathan and cover like 4, 5, 6 boards. That's hilarious. But
if you do look at the prices realistically though, $60 for that base kit. Most people are going to want the alts kit as well at $25, so that takes you up to $85. Then if you wanted one of the other kits of say ISO at $20 or novelties at $20, you're talking around $105, $110, $120 for the set, which is kind of broadly what we're talking GMK for the same compatibility these days.
Yeah.
And SA has traditionally been a little bit more expensive. I know this is max key and not SP, but I think the prices are pretty much fair for these kits.
They're definitely reasonable. They're definitely reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So make sure you guys go join that if that is your thing. That is open currently, and it'll run for about a month. We've got 29 days left.
Yes. I think it's May the 24th it finishes. Is that right?
Something like that. There's a countdown timer over here with 29 days left and 7 hours. So I can't math. I can't math that fast, Jay. I'm sorry.
May the 24th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's May the 24th.
All right. Let's move on to our next interest check for Solarized Dark in a different keycap profile than GMK.
And that's all we know.
And that's all we know, which is kind of interesting.
Tell a lie. There is. So they say this is in an unannounced, sculpted spherical profile, and they have an SA render. So take your pick, guys. What profile is this going to be? Because what options have we got actually from a spherical perspective? We've got SA. We've got DSA. Are there any other spherical ones I'm missing?
Well, DSA is not sculpted.
Well, it's not sculpted. No, you're right.
However,
it's still spherical. Yeah.
DSS is. DSS would be really cool to do.
Given we haven't seen a key set running.
Given we haven't, I mean, I felt it at a meetup like 2 years ago. It feels like now, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And we started.
I did reach out to SP and ask them if they'd send it over for a UK meetup so we could try it out here, and they said no. So I have yet to try it.
Feels bad, man. Also, cat profile. Kono has ran a cat group buy in the past, so obviously that linkage is there. This could be in cat, it could be in SA, it could be in MT3. I think. I mean, what else? What else is there? Sculpted spherical. I think those are the big three, right?
I can't think of anything else that we use. You know, there are other spherical profiles, but as you said, they're not sculpted. So you know, DSA for example. But
yeah. Oh, MDA, is MDA considered a spherical profile?
I wouldn't have classed it as one, but it might be.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Regardless, if you wanted Solarized Dark, but you didn't want it in GMK, you might have an option coming by the looks of it.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I want to try and clarify about this set is, are they going to try and get it back to what the original idea for this key set was when it ran in GMK, and then it came out the colours were completely different to what was expected, or are they going to try and match the GMK version as it ended up being? So that's something that's not discussed here. Is it going to try and match the original Solarized Dark vision, or is it going to try and match what GMK Solarized Dark actually came out as?
Yeah, that's a good point, and we don't really have an answer for that at the moment, unfortunately.
No, I mean, if you look at the render, that is, you know, it's kind of a hybrid, because it's not really clear which it's trying to adopt, because the alpha the alpha color looks like the actual GMK caps ended up, but the legend color looks like it was supposed to be in the render. So there's some inconsistency there in the story. So I'd be interested to see what they what they come out with and what they're trying to replicate. But in terms of the kit options that they're looking at the minute, it's really strong showing. In terms of the base kit, there's a lot of support in there. Numpad ISO, full UK ISO. There's also 65-75% support, alternative bottom row, Sangam bottom row, TKL, you know, pretty much everything you could possibly want in that base kit. And then you've got Vin keys and arrows kits and spacebar kit. Also got the colorized kit, which is the colorized modifiers, which we did see in the GMK version as well. So that's also present in this one, as well as Godox and Plank kits too. So I think it's well rounded in terms of its options.
Fingers crossed this is cat profile, guys.
If this was cat profile, I'd be all over it.
Yeah, it would be an insta buy for me, honestly. I don't even care how the colors came out. I'd buy it anyways.
I think the only profile I wouldn't buy this in is SA.
Yeah, I think I'd pass on MT3 honestly as well.
I can't see it being MT3 because MT3 is owned by Massdrop.
That's true. Yeah.
So okay. I can't see it being run on Kono if it was going to be MT3. So again, that limits us down to, is it going to be CAT or is it going to be SA? Now, interestingly, if it's going to be SA, given the fact that we now know that MaxKey has ISO keys and the split spacebar keys, which they didn't traditionally have, this could be MaxKeys or it could be Signature Plastics. So that's something interesting. Thornkin has just said, yeah, Kono and MD aren't the best of friends. No, we know that. We know they've had historical challenges between the two companies. So I can't see them running it in MT3, if I'm honest. I think that's the one spherical sculpted profile that's out of play for this set.
Yeah. So fun fact, so the first line here is inspired by the famous color scheme from text editors and terminals originally designed by Ethan Schoonover, who I actually met at a Seattle meetup a few years back.
Oh wow, that's
really
cool.
Really interesting and meticulous gentleman. He had a bunch of really oddly combination of like boards there. Like he had, it was so strange. He had like a lot of 660 boards. He really liked that 65 kind of 66 key layout there. And
sure, yeah.
He had like a lot of different switches in each keyboard. Like each single keyboard would have multiple switches in it based on which finger it was hit meant to type. Like the weight, the spring weight would actually be ergonomic, kind of like how
wow,
kind of like how you would see a variable weight Real Force 87U.
Sure,
He did the same thing with spring weights in all of his keys, so that way each finger was hitting the appropriate weight spring for how strong each finger was.
That's a guy who knows what he likes.
I was typing on it, and I'm over here barbaric typing like I always do, and I'm like, why does this feel so strange? And then he told me, and I was like, that makes sense. Why this doesn't make sense to me?
Well, yeah, I'm glad they've given him credit because obviously he was the designer of that colorway for the old text editor theme. So I'm really glad they've called out that he's the guy behind it. I really hope that this does target the originally intended colors for Solarized Dark and not copies the GMK set. Not that I don't like the GMK set. I have two sets of it. I love the GMK set. I love how it came out. I was slightly disappointed it wasn't what was expected. I do love how it came out, but I really would like a key set that does match what that whole look and feel should be. So fingers crossed that that's the route they take on this one, and they don't try and match the GMK set.
Yep, I do think that would be ideal. All right, let's move on to our next interest check. Another GMK set. Another interest check for GMK, man. And I feel like this is going to be kind of a theme going forward now that we have keycaprenders.com in particular. I think that GMK renders interest checks are going to be plentiful in the coming days, weeks, months. But, alas, we are here on the interest check for GMK Scitex, I think is how it's pronounced.
Scitex, yeah.
Yep.
So this is by Emir, who has just recently run GMK 9s, and I know we've chatted to a lot in the Discord server. If you guys have been in there recently, you might have seen them about. So this is based on an old Scitex board that Emir was given by a user called Kurz in the community, and it's a colorway that was run traditionally a long time ago within the community, but didn't hit MOQ. I think that harkens back to like 2013, 2014. It was tried to run a long time ago and didn't make it. Obviously, the community has grown since then, and Amir thinks that it's now time to see a rerun of this set. The colours are stock GMK colours, N9CP for the alphas and the mods, and then N5, which is the blue colour that we see on that F-row. As well across the top. I have to be honest, this feels like GMK 9s. It doesn't feel different enough from GMK 9s to be a new key set. I know that GMK 9s was N9 and U9 and not N9 and CP, but this just doesn't feel like it's too different in terms of that colorway. The fact that some of the F keys just have a bit of blue on them doesn't make it different enough for me to consider buying it. I'd just buy the F keys as an accent pack, or just have the F keys as an accent pack add on to GMK 9s, because that would give you broadly what this is. Slightly different Alpha Legend color, but
you know what I kind of like, but I feel like I should feel really guilty and dirty about liking.
Go for it.
The accent 1 through 8.
No, I don't disagree with that. I kind of like that. I think that's fine.
I don't know why, but I really like that.
I like it too. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and it's just because the original Scitex board had accents F1 through F8, so I think it's just trying to replicate that.
Yeah.
But on the num row, for those of you, those of us that use 65% or 6% or any board without an F row, to be honest with you. But I do feel like it's just a little bit too derivative of GMK 9s for me. I just run it as the accent pack that's right at the very bottom, and I'd put the F keys in there as well, and just have it as a GMK accent pack.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like this could have been an add-on kit, I feel like, for GMK 9s, or you could just run it as a standalone kit to begin with. I don't know. I think it looks okay. It's a very simple set. It's certainly not bad looking. It just seems odd because GMK 9s is literally happening right now. By the same designer.
Yeah, I think it's just too derivative for me. I think in terms of the rest of the interest check, he does call out that he got the renders from Pingu on IDB keyboards on his keycap renders. So well done for calling that out. I know we've seen a few interest checks today that have used those and haven't called out that that's where they got them from. So it's nice to see that nod in the community. Good way to pay respect to other designers. There are lots and lots of renders, so there's lots of ways of seeing this keycap set, which is still nice. I just think it's too close to GMK 9s to warrant being in a group buy right now. Because this is literally the middle ground between GMK white on black and GMK 9s, and I don't see that we need another key set in that space at the minute. I think an accent pack is definitely the way I'd go with it.
I agree, but we'll have to see what happens. Maybe this'll just absolutely kill it. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, we're in a position where very few GMK sets haven't been meeting MOQ at the minute, so almost everything's been succeeding. So fair play. Yeah.
And not only succeeding, but succeeding pretty hard.
Smashing it out of the park. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
what were those numbers on Metropolis?
yeah, but I mean, GMK Bento, which I never thought would cross 1,000 base kits sold, crossed 1,000 base kits sold. Metropolis, which I think closes today, is already past Bento. So it's already well over 1,000 units on that. GMK Minimal went really well. Hamon went really well. It seems like almost every GMK that's coming out is doing really well. I think Waves hit MOQ. I know Nines hit MOQ. And there's still quite a bit of time left on these. It's like people are just buying GMK now. There are lots of sets, and people can't seem to get enough of it. It's kind of surprising, but it's cool to see.
I think Waves is well over 500 sets as well now, so everything's doing really well.
Yeah.
And then we've got Mizu as well, which is just about to go live in the next
4 days, I think. Yeah, it's 29th, I believe.
Like yeah, something like that. Yeah.
159 says more cat, please. He's saying what we're all thinking.
Yep.
I love GMK, man, but I'm ready for a cat revolution.
Absolutely.
Right.
Speaking of something that's not GMK, you ready to move on to our next?
Way ahead of you, buddy. Go ahead.
You're already up there. You've already got it up. I see the stream 10 seconds. So I don't know. But this is the group buy now for EPBT and Biip's extended 2048 PBT Keycaps Set. So we covered this in Interest Check just a couple of weeks ago, actually, and we both really liked this set, if I remember rightly. But effectively, this is a replica of the old Apple key sets, brought up into the new modern age with a cherry profile. But keeping those lovely legends and icon designs as well. I'm absolutely in love with this set. I'm definitely going to have to order this because it's just so reminiscent of the boards that I grew up using. I do have an Alps board that has AEK keycaps on, and I absolutely love it. So I'm all down for these being in cherry profile as well now.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a very good looking set, and if you're a fan of that kind of nostalgic, classic Apple kind of situation there, then this is probably going to be something pretty nice for you.
Yeah, I think it is really nice. Colours are based on GMK colours as well, so L9 and BV, which are stock GMK colours, but obviously this has been running PBT, so they're just going to colour match it. It looks really good. So what were you going to say about the kits, Brian?
So here's something that's kind of interesting too. Check it out. Base kit, $75 US. Pretty darn attractive price point. Here's what you get in the base kit. Not too bad. We have seen the number kit been cut out of here, as well as a little bit of other compatibility, but there's still quite a bit in there. And they're kind of taking the same approach that GMK has been lately, where you cut down kits. You cut down your base kit, you throw in a couple more kits to get a reduction in price. And I think we're kind of seeing that here as well, because even lately we have not really seen $75 Enjoy PBT sets. Most of them are around 90 to 110 lately. So cheaper cherry profile sets are on the horizon. They've been hitting us hard, and they just keep coming. And I for one am all for it because I am a broke man.
Yeah, I think this is really good as well because we know that EPBT have lower MOQs than GMK do for individual kits. I think you can have more flexibility with these kits too. So I think this looks really good. I don't think I've got a problem with any of the kits. I think for me it'll be base, international kit, and definitely the Nomad and the Icono kits because they just look great. There's some of the designs on there. I'm not a fan of the Tory kit. Again, I'm not a fan of those sub-legends, but that's just my personal preference.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty good because for whatever reason, I feel like the font works pretty well with those particular sub-legends because I've seen old like Japanese Apple keyboards that have that distinct look, and I'm a pretty big fan of that. But
yeah,
teach their own. I think the base kit is pretty much a home run here. $75. You get a fair amount of compatibility, not a ton, but you get a fair amount. You do get your ISO support, which is pretty cool, right there in the $75 base kit.
Yeah, and all icon mods as well. Yeah, it's really nice.
It's sexy.
I like that a lot.
It's sexy.
Yeah, it does look really good. Really good.
Cool. So that's going on for 23 more days. So you still have a little bit of time to hop in on this. So go show them some support for that if that's your thing. Speaking of Biip. He also has another project going on right now at KBDfans, which is the Koala switches. And from what we can kind of tell, this is effectively just a T1 tactile switch like KBDfans has already been selling, but it's kind of, recolored, restructured a little bit, has a slightly lighter spring at 62 gram bottom out as opposed to the 67 gram bottom out that the T1 features. So this is kind of interesting.
Yeah, so the first thing that jumps out to me is that this isn't a translucent housing, it's an opaque housing. Which tends to suggest that it's a slightly different material for the housing, irrespective of whether the switch feels like the standard T1s being tactile do, which should mean that it has potentially a more attractive sound profile to the wider perspective of the community. I know a lot of people like the original Panda switches because they had that opaque quality to them rather than something like a Zeal, which some people struggle to appreciate the sound profile of those. So I'm interested to see what these do sound like. I imagine they'll be a little bit more deeper sounding, maybe a bit more thockier rather than clackier. But I'll be interested to get some of these alongside some T1 switches and compare the sound profile of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for some of you viewers that maybe are brand new and aren't really familiar with how, what exactly Jay and I are talking about right now, different plastics obviously will make different noises when you bottom out your switches. A lot of people have been really enjoying different sounds of switches and keyboards as of the last few years in our community. So that has kind of, taken maybe a backseat to feel, but not terribly a lot. Sound is still really important to a lot of people. And generally speaking, you can alter the way that your switch and or keyboard feels by the different materials and compositions of plastic. You have denser stuff, you have more opaque stuff. Obviously, the denser, more opaque stuff tends to produce a little bit deeper of a sound, a little bit richer of a sound, which a lot of people like. Some people like the more translucent housings, the clear housings, which tend to prefer, they kind of have a little bit more of a clacky sound, a little bit higher pitched, some might say. A lot of people, not so into that. People tend to generally like the deeper notes on switches in our community, but, that's a preference choice. You make that for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, 55 cents a switch. Same as T1, so pretty decent price. 62 bottom out spring weight there, so a little bit different from the T1, a little bit lighter. This was something I was kind of thinking about a little bit earlier. I think that, so with Holy Pandas, which is, what they were intending to replicate kind of with the T1 switches, the lighter spring weight was actually kind of an issue on Holy Pandas. I've done a lot of testing. 67 gram, I think, really was the sweet spot. If you go too much higher, you kind of start to lose that unique, subtle tactility. And if you go any lower, you might have trouble with the switch returning, especially on stabilized keys. So I don't think that's going to be much of a problem here, just based on the composition of plastics that they are going to be using, and the fact that the T1s have a little bit smoother, a little bit rounder of an upstroke on this. So it's a little it's kind of been discussed around, but T1s feel a little bit more like a Zeal competitor as opposed to a Holy Panda alternative.
Agree, and that's what I wrote about when we got the samples in as well. They're very much a Zeal V2 competitor rather than a Holy Panda competitor. Interestingly, I know I have spoken with you before. In fact, it's just posted what I was going to talk about. These switches do tend to be fine with lighter springs in them. So I've tried them with, I think, 50 gram springs, and they were still working just fine. And Upass has confirmed that 45 gram bottom out springs still return just fine. So they don't have that kind of sticking quality that some of the original Panda switches had when you used anything lower than a 67 gram spring. So I think these will be fine on that. Whether you'd want to go that low or not, I'm not sure. But 62 gram will absolutely.
Yep. Just felt like pointing that out. So the group buy is open now. 55 cents a switch. You got about 23 days left. Pretty easy. I like how they did GMK colors for the housing. I thought that was kind of interesting. And the stem.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think it's nice.
Is that the future, Jay? Color matching GMK with switches?
Well, color matching switches seems to be the future right now. With Fey switches and tangerines and the linear switches and all the other.
We could go on for hours. It seems like lately.
I think that's the modern stylistic choice is having color themed switches. So I think that's fine.
Yeah, it is a good looking Switch. It really is. So I think this is going to be pretty successful. Obviously, they have their normal MOQ of 25,000 Switches, which sounds like a lot, but to our community, it's really not. And
It's tiny amount,
it's pretty tiny. And plus, they'll probably buy extras to resell anyways. So
yeah, for example, the Linear Switches I think sold 90 odd thousand units. So I think it's a small tiny amount. It's 25,000.
Yep. All right, and let's move over to our last topic on our news doc, which is
a little bit different to anything we usually cover.
A little bit different. So obviously, the page here you're going to see thermal. This is the thermal keyboard that is designed by Wilbatech.
I think you want to hit the link right at the top of the page, Brian, before we talk about this page.
We should at the top of the page.
Yeah, if you hit the text, that's the one.
The Foundry.
The Foundry. We should probably talk about this before we talk about the thermal.
That's true. That's true. The reason we brought this topic on here wasn't to actually talk about the thermal, because we have covered the thermal interest check in the past, and we will cover the thermal again once it goes in a group buy. That tends to be how we do most of our topics. The reason we wanted to talk about this is because of the Foundry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is pretty interesting. So the Foundry is, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here, is kind of just a collection of designers that will be working with RamaWorks Studio to bring their projects to life. So this isn't terribly different from what we've seen in the past with something like, I don't know, Type Machina and Originative, except for hopefully this will actually be, I'm trying not to sound mean here, but obviously Type Machina has been pretty shaky in the past. Hopefully the Foundry will actually be able to get stuff done.
Let's use a better example. Let's use AI03 and KBDfans.
Okay. All right. All right.
Just try not to talk about things that have gone wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So that is the Foundry, guys. So it's going to be kind of a collection of people, a collective, if you will, of different designers and such that will, construct their projects with each other and push them out through RamaWorks. And I think that you can kind of expect the same level of professionalism and quality that you normally get from RamaWorks projects, but just designed by different people, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's good to see these collaborations happening. Rama's got a track record of proven excellence in terms of the quality control, the designs, and all of that kind of aspects of his boards and group buys and shipping, unboxing kind of therapies and all of that kind of stuff. So it's interesting and nice to give other designers an opportunity to take advantage of that kind of back end logistical setup and spread. It seems like the very first of these designers is going to be Wilbur, who's known and loved to the community for both his PCB designs and his board designs, and he's going to be running the thermal through this first one. But as it says here, that the Foundry's designers build upon RamaWorks' experience in producing custom components to push the boundaries of what is possible and to create truly innovative and unique designs. And I think it's basically that's the team's way of saying, we're going to stand on the top of Rama's shoulders and try and push other people's designs through that kind of network of logistics.
It's not terribly surprising. Look at how successful Rama's lineage is here. I mean, he has ridiculous marketing. He has a ton of reach. He does a really good job at it. He's very consistent. The products that he puts out, his quality is pretty much as high as it gets. As far as like the actual parts and stuff goes, his packaging is outrageous. Like his unboxing experiences, second to none. You do tend to pay a few dollars more for stuff like that, but based on who you are, that could be better or worse. But this is interesting. Maybe we can see a project actually come to fruition, other than because Type Machina really just hasn't taken off yet, and it was such a cool idea. Right, to have all these really, really popular high-end designers and creators kind of get together under one roof, in quotes, and put out their products, but that didn't really work out. So maybe the Foundry is the answer, guys.
Yeah, maybe. I think Type Machina had a lot of challenges to get through, and it'd be nice to see this one. I mean, I think one of the other interesting points as well is what other designers are we going to see within the Foundry kind of working with Rama. So I know we'll have Wilbur's thermal board. That's definitely going to be the first one to run through there. Anyone else you're expecting to see run products through this, Brian?
I'm not really sure. I did reach out to Rama and ask if he would tell me who exactly the Foundry is comprised of, but he has not replied to me yet today. So I wasn't able to get that information before the show. But I mean, obviously Wilba. That's pretty obvious here because they're going to be doing the thermal.
Yeah.
Wilba has done a lot of work for Rama in the past, so this kind of collaboration, this kind of partnership is really not surprising. I think that was relatively expected.
Yeah, I imagine that that it might be even almost like a rotating field of designers as well. People could just approach, Rama and ask, can I be part of this? Would you consider running this? And then it'll either be a yes/no decision from Rama, and that might be how we see the Foundry team expand. It might not be just a single group of designers. It might be a rolling flow of designers instead. Similar to what we see people running through Alf's factories these days. A lot of people approach Alf with their designs and get those produced.
Probably,
but studios. It could be something similar to that.
It could be, but I mean, at that point, like, why would you name it if you're just gonna run like random person A's project? Just run the project, and there's the project, and cool. Hopefully, it works out. But if you're gonna give it a name, the Foundry, you're gonna put out this article talking about it, and like the theory on it behind it, and like why they're doing this. Like, I think you have a select team here. You might,
sure,
add and subtract people over time or whatever. But I feel like you actually have a collective there. It's not just going to be, random people shooting designs through it.
Sure, but if it is select people and it is a collective, I think being upfront about who's in that collective is probably quite key to its success. So I'll be interested to see if any announcements are made outside of Wilbur. I know Wilbur's in chat, so he's probably laughing at us speculating over this one. But I do think if you're going to have that select group of people that probably link together to create the Foundry, I think being upfront about who's within that collective is kind of key to its success a lot of times. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out over the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, my guess is there are probably at least 2 other members already confirmed, if I had to venture a guess.
Just you need at least 3 people to be a collective, as well as the the logistics team behind it, right? So
yeah, and if I had to venture a guess, I'd say we will probably not be waiting too long to learn who the remaining people are for this.
Maybe,
but I think stuff like this is good for the community. I really don't see a whole lot of downside to kind of partnering up here, because you get all these great minds and all these great vendors, manufacturers, etc. together, and you can make a lot of really cool things for the community when you have that much collective knowledge and experience.
Agree.
Wilba says me, myself, and I. All right, there you go, guys.
Fair enough, Wilba.
Wilba confirms Foundry is strictly Wilba.
Yeah, I knew you'd be laughing at us, Wilbur. I guess one of the other things is what do you think it means for the group buys, though, Brian? Because I know previously when Wilbur teased a thermal, he was tempted to run it through Zeal and things like that. Do you think running it through Rama is going to affect things like price or quality, or how do you think that play out?
I mean, that's an interesting point, right? Because when the interest check for the thermal went up, he had made some references to Zeal, so we had kind of assumed that it would be ran through Zeal, but obviously that is not the case here. We don't know, what kind of backstory happened there, if something did or did not. But obviously he ended up with Rama here. As far as quality is concerned, as far as like group buy structure and how things will turn out, I don't think there's going to be like a really huge difference. I think both Rama and Zeal have shown that they can put out really great quality stuff in a timely manner. So I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of difference, but obviously I'm not a designer, I'm not a vendor, I'm not a manufacturer. I'm just a keyboard enthusiast that can speculate like a lot of the rest of us here. So, that's kind of where we're at now. I think if the thermal would have went through Zeal, it would have been awesome and it would have been fine. Would have been great, and I think if it goes through Rama, which it seems like it is, it'll also be awesome and fine and great, and I think there weren't really going to be any major issues or upsets either way.
Sure. Yeah, I think I completely agree with that. I think it's a proven team at Rama. We know what we're getting in terms of quality. I'm just interested to see the box now. That's why I want to see what's the unboxing experience going to be like for the thermal.
Yeah,
because we know what the M60A was like, and I'm interested to see what that looks like.
Yep. Absolutely. So we'll have to keep our eye on this. I'm really interested to see collectives like this happen, and hopefully we can get maybe a little bit more of a finite list on who is actually a part of the Foundry and some of the things they're working towards.
Wilbur says the boxing will be on par with the M68. That's really good to know because that makes me want one even more.
I think that's the best unboxing experience I've ever had in the keyboard community.
I guess one question I do have, and I'm hoping that Wilbur will answer this in chat, is originally when I talked to Wilbur about this, he said he was going to open up the plate files for that, but I don't think we've ever seen Rama open up files for any of his products to happen like that. So I guess is the designer still going to have that availability of input over what's public and what isn't, or is that kind of going to be something that's swallowed up into the kind of Rama box? Oh, Wilbur's come back and said he's still going to release plate files. Fine, okay, that answers that one. That's nice and easy. Fair enough. Yeah, that's really good. Good to hear. Sometimes with these kind of collaborations, some things become more compartmentalized and stuff. So it's really good to see that it's going to still be open. So yeah, good to see.
Yeah, good on you, Wilbur. We appreciate that.
Yeah, that's fantastic news.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm interested to see what happens with the Foundry and what goes on with them moving forward. Hopefully we can get some more information on that soon. We'll have to poke at some people and see what happens. I probably won't get told anything, but hey, it's kind of my job to poke at people and ask questions. So yeah, hopefully we'll get more info on that in the future. Anyways, that's going to wrap up our news dogs. So let's take a look at some of the people that sponsor Top Clack, because we do have sponsors.
Just before we do, guys, if you want to ask any questions, start getting them into the chat now, and we'll answer them as soon as we've got through the sponsor segment.
That's some good time efficiency. So yeah, after our sponsors, we will of course move into the Q&A. So we'll get through these relatively quickly, and then we'll move over to the Q&A, guys, before we head off for the night.
So start getting your questions in, and tag us so we can see them.
Use the @TopClack tag. We need to start asking people to do that before the sponsors. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I knew I liked you for a reason, Jay.
Gee, thanks.
Anyways, starting us off, we do have the ever so wonderful NovelKeys.xyz, where you can find all sorts of awesome different products, including switches, desk pads, and as of late, lots of keycaps. So like we had mentioned earlier, GMK Metropolis Group Buy actually closing today, guys. So if you did want to get on this, make sure you get on it freaking today. Otherwise, it's going to close before you know it. Of course, they also just updated uploaded the GMK Striker Group Buy, which did just start as well. $100 base kit, like we had mentioned earlier. Pretty awesome price there. Can't really argue with that. That's going to be pretty good stuff. Lots of desk pads going on. They have the Bento desk pad, Nautilus desk pad, Milkshake, and a Metropolis desk pad. I actually ordered the Metropolis one too, which is pretty hype. That desk pad looks so good, man. So good.
It does. It's amazing. Yeah, I've got one coming as well.
Yeah. Yep. And they do still have some linear switches in stock, or linear, whatever. I bought some. They're pretty cool. They look really good. They feel like a Gateron yellow, practically. I like it. Love it. So yeah, make sure to check out some of that. I would say go pick up GMK Mr. Sleeves add-on kit, but those sold out today. They were posted today, if I'm not mistaken, and they sold out today. So
instantly, yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't get it on the Mr. Sleeves extras, because big surprise. Big surprise. So make sure to check those out. And for anything in stock, make sure you use the promo code CLICKCLACK. That's 2 words. That'll get you 5% off your total order. So make sure you hit those promo codes, guys.
Yep. Cool. Okay, moving on to Kono. The first thing I want to call out from there is they've still got the GMK 9's keycap set up. So if you are interested in this colorway that Amir's designed, it is running for a few more days. I think it finishes on May the 3rd, so you've still got a few days to join this if you do want to. As well as GMK 9's, one of the other things that Kono is doing now is new frames for the Kira. So if you have one of the Kira boards, you can actually get the new frames for it as well. So those are available on the store. Brian's frantically
trying to load it up because I didn't have it ready.
So you can buy the new frames for those boards as well. So they're $80. You can buy the aluminium. Lots of different options.
Yeah, the plastic ones are only $10.
Are they only $10? Gosh,
the plastic ones, you can get the white plastic for $10, and you get the blue plastic for $10.
Wow. So there you go, guys. Cool. If you want to change up your Kira board, you've got a plastic one, you want an aluminium top, you can do that. Or if you want to change the colour of your plastic top for $10, you can do as well. So that makes the board much more customizable and much more for you as well. We're also really interested in the Keystone series. So I know Brian and I talked about this on stream last week, but the silo switches that are coming as well soon. This is something, if you're interested in, please do register your interest with Kono. Be talking about this, be keeping an eye on this, because this is going to be really, really big technology. It's going to see a lot of adoption within the community, I think, quite quickly. And we're really excited to see this.
They have. Sorry to interrupt you, because I'm terribly unprofessional, but they just added the force curves for all 3 silo prototypes.
Oh, really? Are they up there now?
Yeah, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page on it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. They're all there. I didn't realize that. They only had the beam.
Look at how smooth that linear is.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
To you guys that might not be used to reading force curve graphs, that is an absurdly smooth switch.
Yeah, basically what you're seeing in that straight line is there's no deviance of anything. You're just seeing the kind of the graph go upwards. There's no deviance in terms of feel. It's just a constant smooth feel all the way through. And we could see before in the graphs that they posted previously, there's a lot of rounded tactility in the tactile version. So these are looking really, really great in terms of switches. So really excited to see.
I'm excited for this.
Do show your support to Kono for those as well. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to call out this week as well is SA Granite is still up for group buy as well. So if you're looking for an SA key set and you like the Granite colorway, you can join that group buy right now. There's lots of different kits. The base text kit is reduced at the minute from $99 to $99.99 to $69.99. As is the base icon kit as well. And this is running for a little bit of time. I can't remember when it ends. Can you see that really quickly? I've not written down when it ends, but I think it's running for at least another few weeks. Can't see an end date on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it started April 11th.
Group buy price will end July the 1st, so it is open for some time.
What a long group buy. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and then shipping's expected between October and November, so plenty of time to still join this one, guys. But if you do want to join it, make sure you take advantage of that $30 saving on the base kit prices.
Absolutely. Next up, we have Zeal Generation, where you can find all sorts of epic key switches in particular, as well as some other things. So taking through some of the key switch line, we have the Zelio V2s, the Xylent V2s, the V2 Telios, and the Helios, which are that silent linear. Lots of different options depending on what you want. Lots of different weighting options: tactile, linear, silent. You got the whole works for you. Lots of cool switches. I've been really enjoying them. I've been using my Zelios V2 a lot lately. They do still have Pink, Roselio, and Securio switches in stock, which are kind of like the Helios, but if you're more of a fan of pink instead of orange, you get that kind of color scheme going as well. There's a 62 gram version and a 67 gram version. If the 67 gram maybe was a little bit too heavy for you, there you go. There's your option. Also, they still have the group buy going on right now for the Rama X Ion aluminum keycap by RamaWorks, which happens to be my favorite Rama artisan I've ever seen, if I'm not mistaken. I try to think of a better one, and I can't. I really like the Ion look. I think it looks spectacular on an aluminum keycap. So that group buy is going on right now. You can get that in Kuro, which is black, or Moon, which is gray. Regardless of what you do, whether you're buying switches or you're picking up the group buy keycaps here, you can use our affiliate link, which helps us out immensely, guys. It is zealpc.net/topclack. Helps us out so much more than you might think. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give us a little bit of a kickback when you order. So please feel free to use that if you do want to support us and buy Zeal products.
Yeah, some of the nicest tactile switches on the market right there as well. Okay, and moving on to our final sponsor of the day, KBDfans. We all know and love Way. First thing I wanted to call out is the KBD8X Mark II. So if you guys are looking for a nice keyboard with a matching numpad, this might be the option for you. We covered it on the show a few weeks ago, but it's looking fantastic. It's really good for the money. It's such a really nice TKL, designed by AIO3. Multiple different options. I don't have time to talk to you about all the options, but there's all sorts of different colors and polycarbonates and plate files, and you guys can make this keyboard really what it means to be a keyboard for you. You can customize it all which way you want, and you can even buy an additional numpad that will match the board as well. And I'm a big fan of that AIO3 seamless design too. If you're looking for anything else, though, we've covered a lot of this on the show today. But if you're looking for a good keycap set, SA Leviathan is in group buy right now. So if you're looking for an SA colorway that has multiple different options, and as Will put it earlier on, the Chinese buy all option, you can even do that for this key set as well if you've got $435 to drop. So feel free to check that out too. If you're looking for switches to maybe go in your KBD8X that you've just bought, then you could consider the Koala switches by Biip. Not only does that support KBDfans and Clack and Biip and everyone else, but they're also great tactile switches if you're looking for something in that cheaper price range. And we're really interested to see how those sound as well, see if there's an improvement in sound over the original D1 switches. And then finally, if you're an Apple fan, have a look at the extended 2048 Keycaps Set, which we just covered just a few minutes ago, which I'll be definitely picking up because it looks great.
Yep, absolutely. Get on that, guys. All right, let us go back. Let us start our Q&A now that we've had some questions rolling in. And obviously, Q&A is still going on, guys, just starting now. So if you do have questions, make sure you get those in now, and we will get them as soon as possible. Use the @TopClack tag so we can see it a lot easier, please.
Yeah. First shout out to Mountain Blocks for the 657 bits. Thank you very much, dude. We appreciate those. Every little helps. First question that I can see, and I had to scroll back quite a way for this, was from Bear Antler.
Uh-oh. Jay froze. Jay, please. Oh no, we lost Jay.
Audio
man.
Is my audio still there?
Oh, you're back. Yeah.
I'm back.
You're back.
Yay, I'm back. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Can we get some F's in chat, boys?
Rip. Died. Gone. Yeah. Okay. Brexit. Play Brexit.
Brexit. Damn Brexit. Oh,
so yeah, so just to answer Bear Antler's question, we do stream the show at 6 p.m. Hang on, wait, what
Pacific time?
Yeah, I had to work that out then. It is 4 a.m. in the morning for me, guys, so I did have to work that out. We stream at 6 p.m. Pacific time every Thursday. I try and do a build stream nearly every Sunday. I missed a couple recently due to personal circumstances, but this Sunday I will be doing a build stream as well. That happens at 12 noon Pacific time or 8 p.m. here in the UK. Brian, you do other streams ad hoc when you've got builds to do as well, but they're usually announced a day or so before in the Discord server.
True, but also TopClack will be adding a third stream to the weekly schedule starting very soon, guys. So yeah. I did put up a bit of a heartfelt article. I guess you can check out on the website. I'm gonna link it there if you guys want to check that out. But it does say that we will be starting a third stream for the week. It's going to be a much more heavily interview focused section where I'll sit down with a guest and we'll talk in depth about lots of different things. It's going to be admittedly a lot less half-assed than the TopClack interviews of the past have been. Which has, kind of been a little, it can get a little too casual, a little unprofessional, a little disrespectful to guests and viewers alike, depending on how you view it. So we are going to kind of streamline a lot of this process, and it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited for it, because it's going to be a lot more intense of an interview series than what you've seen from us in the past.
Yeah.
So that's coming soon.
It's going to be much more professional and much more streamlined, as Brian says. So we're both really looking forward to seeing that take off and getting your guys' views as well.
Heck yeah! Why did that not link in chat?
Pass.
Why does that happen? Is it because? It's because I accidentally added the slash.
Okay. Yeah,
Twitch, please. Come on, Twitch, please. All right.
And especially Yeti donating bits again. I don't know how many that was, but I do see the 200 and.
It's usually 250.
Yeah, it usually is. It usually is.
Thank you very much.
And Pilot XJ did 200. Is that 210? 215? 210.
Yeah, 210.
As well. Very much, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. We appreciate that.
Okay. Next question was from Mr. Petro saying, TopClack, how important is an isolation mount when you're getting a polycarb case whose sound properties are a key selling point? For example, would a Polaris in PC sort of defeat the purpose of all the foam and isolation mounting system, negating the benefits of a polycarb case? So it's difficult to say until we get one of the boards on hand. Is my current view. I know when I've been doing isolation mounts and things like that with different boards, JO1 and stuff like that, you need to be very careful about how the materials are put together. I think AIO3 has probably done a lot of R&D on this. I don't think he'll have just made a decision and jumped into it. He will have absolutely looked at what the right and wrong things to do are. I suspect that the isolation mount will dampen and quieten the switches. Polycarbonate does offer a really unique sound profile. I think I'd be more tempted to get the aluminium version of the Polaris just for that reason. But I wouldn't want it to defer or deter anyone from getting the polycarbonate version.
Yeah. I think kind of in line with what you're saying, I think when you do start to do things like isolated gasket mount, adding like the foam under the PCB and under the plate, like the Polaris is trying to accomplish, you do kind of you make it a lot quieter, you make it a little bit deeper, but you kind of take away some of the characteristics of what the case might sound like otherwise, and you start to rely a little bit more on the sound of the switches, the caps, and the plate as a combination, and you kind of, for better or worse, you kind of rule out how the case itself will sound, which, may or may not be a good or bad thing depending on who you are.
Yeah, a good. The only example I can talk about is the JO1, and I don't mean to be kind of chilling my own stuff because I'm not selling it or anything. But the kind of what Brian's alluding to there is you're kind of taking out all of the contact with the case, so you're not having any transference of sound between the plate and the case itself because there's a gap between them, effectively putting a buffer in between. But what you can use the inside of the case for is kind of like an acoustic echo chamber. So think like the inside of a guitar or violin or anything like that, where you've got the cutouts for it. And that's kind of what I did in the JO1. This is going in the other direction. It's putting foam in that space to try and reduce that sound even further. So I think it's going to be much, much quieter in the terms of that isolation.
Yeah. And honestly, I kind of like that. I think that tends to be a little bit more premium of a sound, if I'm being honest. If you just have that kind of like deep, precise, clean tone from the gasket mount and the foam, I think it's gonna be a winner. It maybe not for everyone, but I think it's gonna be overall a winner for the majority.
Yeah, I'm interested to try it. So if it's too much, it might sound a bit muffled, and you might lose that clean quality. I don't know, but yeah, it's interesting either way.
Yeah.
It's something new. Let's try it and see what it's like.
In theory as well, you can omit that foam, right? Like, there should be no reason you absolutely have to use that foam in the Polaris build.
Depends on how the gasket compression works, which I didn't really look at. But let me have another look at that, and I might ping you later on, Mr. Petrov, on that one and have a look at it.
Yeah, great question, by the way, though. Great question.
It is really... Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Next question. Bear Antler again. He says, what and how is the best way to buy good vintage blacks? The best way I've found to buy them is to buy old boards and desolder them yourself and then clean them in an automatic cleaner, but buy a significant number more switches than what you need so you can cherry pick the best ones out of them. So if you need enough switches for a 60%, I would probably tell you to buy 120 vintage blacks and then try and cherry pick the best ones out of them. I don't know if you agree or disagree, Brian.
My favorite way to do it is to not buy vintage blacks. Because I think they're overrated, and I think you have to. I think even you're being really generous with the numbers. Like, if you buy 120 switches, like, even half of them might not be very good at all. Like at all. So I would cherry pick probably at least 4 or 5. I would buy 4 or 5 times the amount of switches I'd want to cherry pick, and it's just like at that point it just gets kind of expensive, and you don't know if your vintage blacks are going to match in terms of like orientation and aesthetics and stuff like that, because there's lots of iterations of vintage blacks. Most people that know me, they know that I think vintage blacks are kind of a meme. I think they're kind of dead now. I think they used to be pretty good back before we had 800 bazillion switches on the market, where a lot of them are actually good.
Yeah,
I wouldn't use vintage blacks this day and age. I just think it's not really worth it. If I need cherry blacks, I'll just get retooled blacks. I will break them in for a few weeks, and I will do a good job lubing them, and they will be as good or better than pretty much any vintage black experience.
Yeah,
and it'll cost me less too. It'll cost me less and way less time.
Probably, yeah, you're probably right on that one. If you are going to use vintage blacks and you're going to harvest them yourself, what I would recommend is just harvesting the alphas as well. Don't bother wasting time harvesting the mods because they tend not to be broken in anywhere near as much as the alphas are, and they tend to be better switches. Because that's what you're buying, Vints for. You're buying them because they've been used heavily and they've been broken in, as Brian was referring to there. They've been constantly pressed and they've gone through thousands and thousands of cycles, making them gradually smoother and smoother.
Yeah,
so
it's actually kind of strange because most people, for whatever reason, tend to think new old stock vintage blacks are like supposed to be the best. Like those are always going to be the worst.
Point?
Those are always going to be the worst. Like the usage is what matters. A board that's been pounded on for 2-3 decades is going to be so much smoother than a board that's never been used before.
Find a board that's been heavily used in an office environment for the last 20 years and take the switches out, and they're going to be far better than a new old stock.
Yeah, they're going to be dirty as hell, and you're going to need to clean them, but the payoff's going to be a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, but really, like the good way to buy vintage blacks, I don't think there really is a good way. Either hope you hit the jackpot and get some good switches. A lot of times you won't get good switches; you'll just be wasting your money. Sometimes you will hit the jackpot and you'll hit good switches, but I just don't think it's worth it anymore. I don't think the payoff's worth it.
I'd agree. Okay, next question. Mr. Petro says, how do you guys feel about the Kepler proto picks? Looks great. I'm interested to see it.
Yeah, so 159 was teasing very new images of the prototypes earlier, and they look stunning. They look so good. Like the PBT coating on the brass base that has that kind of like oil slick look. Whatever, I don't know how that's accomplished or like why they're doing that, but it looks really cool.
It looks great. Yeah, it does. It looks really good. Yeah, I'm all for it as well. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, and like we were saying earlier, I do believe that Clack is going to get a prototype of the Kepler, so I will be able to do a build stream of it in the hopefully somewhat near future. Just waiting on some more details from that.
Looking forward to watching you do that, dude. I'm definitely going to check that one out.
So hype that up, guys. Remember to tell your friends and tell your parents and tell your dog. Clack will have a Kepler build stream in the near future, most likely. It's like 99%.
Cool.
Barry Andler with. Oh wait, never mind. Did you ask that question twice?
Posted the same question. Yeah, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's alright. Yeah, I think you just pasted it again. That's fine. Next question is Yakbat saying, besides the 75% mentioned earlier, are there any new Alps compatible kits? I think the new TX boards support Alps. They still have Alps MX plates, so I think they still support Alps because they're still using the old Liku PCBs, which supported them. Other than that, I can't think of anything that's specifically been Alps. Can you, Brian?
I'm not really sure. A lot of new PCBs like kind of support both of them, and it's not that hard to find plates that also support them or have plates custom cut. Like the I'm just gonna grab one because I have one right here. The Waldo PCB, which is pretty new. I think you can still pick them up on projectkeyboards.store. But the Waldo PCB, pretty new, MX and Alps compatible PCB, QMK, Underglow. Like
what more could a guy want?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I think it's actually VIA too. I think it might work with VIA, but I could be wrong. I might be wrong about that. Hopefully I'm not though, because VIA is life. Anyways, I think more bits were donated.
I think Neuro Winter has donated some bits, and Pilot XJ's done some more as well. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Like how
thank you.
People just donating singular bits, like donating them individually, so that way they fall into the cup.
Yeah, it just goes and goes. And the Sweaty Yeti did another 100 bits. The Pilot XJ did some more bits. Sweaty Yeti subscribed with Twitch Prime for 8 months. Thank you very much, dude. And Elp EPE21. I'm probably pronouncing
El Pepe, my dude.
Oh, El Pepe, of course, yeah. I realised that just before you said it, yeah. They subscribed for 2 months as well, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all of you guys, for the bits and the subs. Absolutely. You guys are amazing.
And El Pepe has a question as well. He says, I started playing around with spring weights on Holy Jesus and York switches. Have you tried progressive springs on them? Yeah, I have. I've tried the 72 progressive springs from Sprit. They're not progressive enough, is my honest view of them. There's not a big enough difference between the actuation and the bottom out pressure. I think they should be significantly different. and they're just too generic for me. There's not enough of a difference to stop me using a standard 72 gram switch if I was going to use that weighting to use progressive ones. What we need is really extreme progressive switches that go from something like 50 grams actuation to 125 gram bottom out or even higher. We need something really, really different for that.
Yeah, I totally agree. With that said, I haven't really played around with progressive springs on the Holy Jesus or Yock switches yet. I don't know how that would act. I assume it probably wouldn't be that much different with the progressive springs that we currently have on the market, because like Jay mentioned, they're really not that progressive. They don't feel a whole lot different than Sprit's normal lineup of switches or springs, which I think they feel good. As a spring, they feel fine, they feel good, but I mean, when you're marketing something as a progressive spring, and like that's the whole selling point, like you need it to make more of an impact, and it just doesn't. So hopefully the newer versions, which I think are supposed to be a lot more intense, coming out soon.
Soon. .tm. Sprit's gone a little bit silent recently. I think he's got some personal problems from what he said in one single email to me. So I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going on there, but hopefully at some point soon. I also know that Thornkin has asked what is the Twitch name for Jay. I'm just on Top Clack now. I used to have my own channel, and then I joined Brian on Top Clack, and now everything I do is on Top Clack. So if you want to watch my build streams, they will be on this channel. You don't need to look anywhere else.
Yep, pretty much every Sunday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, Jay does a build stream.
Yep.
And I try to weave some in here and there, but I don't always have stuff. But I do have many things coming over the next month or two, so hopefully we'll actually get a lot more build streams from me as well. Ray calling me out that I didn't tell the cat for the shout out. Shout out, your parents and your dog. But we forgot about that awesome cat, Jay, from the beginning of the stream. that was a top tier floof. Absolute amazing cat.
Good cat, yeah. Majestic as hell. Yeah.
Very majestic. Nebula asking, is it thin film interference causing the shimmer of color?
No, he's saying that's what it is. He's saying that's what it is, yeah. So that's on the Kepler, where we saw the rainbow pattern effect that Brian was referring to earlier, and Nebula giving us the accurate description of what is actually causing the effect. So there we go. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Jeff Leopard doesn't tag us, but he does ask a question. He says, have you guys talked about what your favourite loops from NovelKeys are?
I mean, maybe if I had bought them in time.
I have some of the Crystal loops to try. I haven't tried them as yet. I didn't buy them in time either, but UPass was kind enough to send me some samples. I will be trying them probably on my next build, so stay tuned for Sunday's build stream for those as well. But I don't have any insights at the minute, I'm afraid, until I try them.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of insight as well. I mean, he has 3 oils, 104, 105, 106, if I recall. I have used all 3 of those pretty extensively. I do like them. 105 is my favorite out of the 3 there. As far as the crystal lubes go, I have no real experience with any of those, but I will soon. And the Krytox Grade 2 lubes, the 204, 205, and 206, I think is what they are. I haven't tried any of those. I imagine they're all going to be thicker than my personal preference, but I'm going to get some and test anyways. I'm just waiting until NovelKeys restocks that. I'm probably just going to buy all of them.
Makes sense.
Well, all the greases, at least. I'll buy all the greases. But I've just been waiting for the NovelKeys restock, like a lot of you guys, so not a whole lot we can do.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll have more of an idea soon. In terms of the oils, I'm slightly different to Brian. I prefer 106, and I use that on springs pretty much exclusively. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Yep.
Frosted Flax saying any 24-hour stream soon, man. Soon we'll be announcing something soon. It is coming. We've got a lot of work on it in the background. We've got a lot of ideas. We're working on them. We're building them up. We've got different people coming on the show. We've got different segments. We've got all sorts of stuff happening. Just stay tuned, and as soon as we've got anything concrete to share, we will do. But we are aiming to be doing it at some point in May. And that's the closest to a date we've got right now.
There's going to be so much more work going into the stream than you guys are going to realize. And it's going to take us... It's probably just going to take us weeks just to set up. Like, just to set up OBS to do all the things that we want to do. It's going to probably take a week or two. We got to try to line up some schedules. We want to get on some high-profile guests for different segments. We have a variety of segments to structure. And it's just gonna be 24 hours, guys. It's gonna be quite a treat. It's gonna be anything. It's gonna be nothing like anything the community's ever seen before. So I'm really excited about that. It's gonna be really, really, really unique, and that's what I'm most stoked about.
Yeah, we're both really excited for it, and we can't wait to share some more details when we can.
Yeah. Pendamon asking you, any other intriguing professional highlights following your tenure as a barkeep?
Maybe. Yeah, there's quite a few highlights in my career. A lot of it's under NDA, so I can't talk a lot about a lot of it. But I did broker the biggest deal between a bank and a network company for a Wi-Fi network in the EU, or it was at the time. It was the largest deal ever done in the EU for a Wi-Fi network. But that's a few years ago now. But yeah, lots of stuff I can't talk about, sadly. It's NDA'd. But yeah, I work for a bank, so a lot of it's difficult to talk about.
Yeah. Not Zesty Salsa saying 27 followers away from 2K followers. Top Clack making big moves.
Oh, nice.
Nice, cool. Yeah. I mean, part of this whole evolution and refresh we're going to have a really serious push to make Twitch partner. So that's kind of coming up soon on our roadmap, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, whatever support you guys help with, spreading the word, getting more people to check out Top Clack, getting a higher viewer count and stuff. All of it helps. So the sooner we can make Twitch partner, I think the sooner things will actually start to rapidly pick up and start to snowball. That's the hope, at least. See what happens. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of work, but,
absolutely,
someone's got to do it.
As Brian alluded to in his article earlier on today, we are working hard to try and make Top Clack the best studio we can be, and any support or strengthening we can get, we are absolutely grateful for. So yeah, thank you guys for supporting us. You do.
Absolutely. Ray asking, is Kelly going to be on the 24-hour stream? I'm not sure. We don't have a finalized guest list yet. I'll be honest, he's not on my short list of guests that I'm trying to have on the 24-hour stream. It's going to be hard. It's hard to coordinate guests coming in and out during a live stream. It really is. We're probably going to have 800 million transition screens and stuff. So, anything is possible. I'll say that anything's possible.
Yeah. We'll see.
And the same answer applies to the next question by Pluto Norbauer segment. Anything's possible. I would like to, at the very least, have him on my my new upcoming interview series for Top Clack. I think that it would be fun to do such a deep dive on his life and what he wants to do with keyboards. So.
Yeah, and all of the stuff outside of that he does outside of keyboards as well, because Norbauer's got an amazingly diverse life. He does all sorts of different things, and all sorts of cool hobbyist stuff that he's managed to turn into businesses and all sorts of stuff as well. So he's a really genuinely interesting person.
Yeah. Teha Types they're saying, wish I was invited. I did invite you. What are you talking about? I told you I wanted to have you on for a mukbang segment and for the game show segment, so...
Yeah. We've actually got you on the list. You're down... Your name's down next to them.
Yeah, so. You might even be you're first on the list. You're either lying to me or you have a terrible memory. Silly.
Yeah, he's first on the list. He's literally the first person we put down that we wanted to get on the stream.
Nathan tried to be a drama queen, I guess.
I don't know. But you are literally the first guest named on there.
We're gonna work something out. We'd like to have you on for probably a couple segments. Maybe one a little bit more serious and one or two a little bit more casual. See what happens. But we'll be hitting you up soon a little bit more officially, a little bit more professionally, and we'll work something out. We just gotta get our structure down, our timing down, and everything that we want to do. So more information coming soon.
It's going to work. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 10 Strong says, sorry, when is the 24-hour stream? Sometime in May. We'll announce it when we've got a date, but we're hoping to do it mid to late May.
Comp Data says lube tasting segment, and he tags Teha Types. I hope not. I hope not. I think in my great interest, Nathan Kim has kind of moved away from doing stuff like eating lube on stream. So he's kind of gone over to being actually really professional about everything he does, which I really appreciate. So continuing that, no, I don't think there's going to be much, if any, consumption of lubricants on the 24-hour stream.
Ray asking, is there any special name for the stream? I assume he means a 24-hour one.
Yes. I have a name for it. I don't think I've even told you yet.
I don't know this.
I'm not going to tell.
I don't know this.
I'll tell you later, but I'm not telling anyone else right now. I want it to be more of a surprise. Cool. But I do have a name and a theme for the 24-hour stream, so you can expect that.
Yeah, and there'll be lots of different segments, as we've talked about, which will individually have their own names and logistics and things. So,
Nathan says I've tasted enough lube in my life. I don't blame you.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Well, he drank like a bunch of lube water on the dual stream that him and I did with the NovelKeys blind lube test.
I remember seeing that. That didn't look good.
Yeah. Hey, I told him not to do it, but obviously viewers are crazy. Mountain Blocks is asking, will the 24-hour stream be on a weekend? Yes, that is the plan. It'll probably be like a combination of Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday. Because obviously it's going to have to span throughout. We're not entirely sure what time of day we'll start. So that's still planning. But as long as you stop in within those 24 hours, you're going to see something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we completely expect that no one's going to be there for the whole 24 hours, but we'll have a bit of a schedule.
I've had 2 or 3 people tell me they are going to be there for the whole thing. And I don't know if I believe them.
When I see it. If anyone is dedicated enough to watch for the whole 24 hours, I'd be incredibly impressed, surprised, and honoured. But we will have a bit of a guide as to what's happening across the build stream.
I don't expect anyone to be there all 24 hours, and if you do, you're either insane or you're the real hero.
Yeah. And you can drop in and drop out of the different sections you want to see. I think that's probably what.
Yeah, I think what we kind of plan on is we're probably going to release the schedule, the structure before the actual stream, so that way you can actually see. And we're going to try to keep everything like streamlined and timed properly, so that way like maybe if there's a specific segment that you want to watch, you can just tune in for that, and maybe you don't want to watch the rest of it, you can just leave after that or whatever. So it should have a pretty good schedule and structure going on, depending on what you want to do. And we'll try to make like the quote-unquote more interesting parts of the stream at times of days that people will be more likely to watch. A lot of thought going in behind this, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah. We're trying to work out the best way to do it.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be ridiculous.
Ray saying, Jay, I'm going to message you a name for the 24-hour stream. Cool. Thanks, man. I'll have a look at that after the stream with Brian and I over chat. But thank you. Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
Yep.
Nebulant says he's really going to try and watch us for the full 24 hours, as does not Zesty Salsa as well.
You guys are crazy if you do.
Try it. Yeah, wow. If any of you manage it, then
we should have a special role in like either the stream and or the Discord for people that are somehow there for all 24 hours.
Yeah, if there's anyone that can answer anytime we call their name out. So if we just call your name randomly and you can ping within a minute or so to say that you're still there and still watching, and you can do that consistently throughout the stream, we might have a special role for you or something.
Yeah, I got anyone who can spend 24 hours in a stream is crazy. I certainly don't expect anyone to do that, nor do they need to.
And just leaving your browser window open and going to sleep for 12 hours is cheating, by the way, guys. That's not how it works.
All right, I think we're wrapping up here. Dixie Beck does say thanks for getting me through the rest of Moto, GMK Modern Dolch. She's been shipping out those. I saw the first big wave shipment went out, I think, today or yesterday. So shout-outs to Dixie for getting on that. Good on you. Can't wait to see all the Modern Dolch pictures around the community.
Yeah, there was so many Modern Dolch sets at the UK meetup at the weekend. I think there was like 10 or 15 people had brought it, and I thought I was going to be one of the few to take it, but I wasn't. Almost everyone had it. Like 10% of the people that attended brought it, which is good to see, to be honest. It's nice to see that set go.
Yeah. All right, guys, so that is actually going to wrap up our stream for the day. I don't see any more questions, and we're rapidly approaching the 3-hour mark, unfortunately for Jay and his sleep schedule. Let's see some Fs in chat to pay respect for that. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching the stream today. I hope you guys had a good time like we did. Below the stream, you can find links to our YouTube channel, where you can find videos and VODs of the episodes like today's. So you can check that out if you like that. We also have our official Discord server linked below, which is a good place where you can join and talk to us and talk about keyboards, talk about, food, pets, whatever. your life, play some video games, whatever. Lots of cool things going on there.
Yep.
And also don't forget, if you do want to join the CYO Keycap giveaway, we do have the Google form up. Can you link that again in the chat, Jay, please?
I just popped in. Yeah,
perfect. So that's a little giveaway we got going on right now, courtesy of CYO Keycaps. Shout outs to them. Make sure to join that if that's your thing, and if not, then don't. Regardless, we'll catch you soon. Build streams this week. Are you planning on Sunday, Jay?
Yeah, there'll be a build stream on Sunday. Not sure which board yet. It depends, because I'm potentially building Ahab's all brass S7 if that arrives in time. If not, I will be building my copper TX60 HHKB. So it just depends on what happens with mail and things like that. So, and I'm away tomorrow night as well, Friday night, later on today for me as well. I've got to go see the ballet with
you're a ballet dancer now.
Donated 100 ballet bits, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. But either way, there'll be a build stream on Sunday from me, and whichever one doesn't get built will get built the week after. So yeah,
there you go.
Plenty of content coming.
More content, guys. Yeah, lots of things going on and lots of things evolving in the coming weeks and months. So keep an eye on stuff. Of course, shout outs to all of you guys as well for sticking with us for as long as you have and supporting Top Clack. It really does mean a lot more than you might think. Seriously, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and cry like I have before, but yeah, so definitely shout outs to all of you guys. Even if you're not donating, even if you're not subbing, just watching, hanging out, having a good time, and spreading the word and stuff. We really do appreciate it, guys.
Absolutely, yeah. For all those that just joined us in chat or just want to say hi, thank you guys. We genuinely appreciate that support.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much. Catch you next time. Same time next week. Same place. You know the drill, guys. Sunday build stream, 12 p.m. Pacific time. JLB building some cool boards as always. And we will catch you guys later.
See you later, guys.